A divorce decree left him destitute, reduced to a haggard shadow of his former self. Penniless, homeless, and his youthful looks faded. A sudden reversal of fortune transforms him into a top-tier hacker, amassing a vast fortune. Watch as he exacts his revenge on the powerful figures who wronged him. Inside a restaurant, the manager shoos away a woman standing at the entrance. Go away, go away. We don't hire women over 30. Old and ugly. Who would want to eat here if you worked here? Gazing at his sallow, worn reflection in the window, he realized that though not yet 30, he looked far older. His once bright, beautiful eyes were now dull and lifeless. His hands trembled. He couldn't believe he was only 25, yet looked so aged. With a bitter laugh, he turned to leave, when suddenly he heard a car slowing to a stop behind him. The restaurant manager, spotting the luxury car, gushed, "Mr. Shi, welcome. So glad to see you." He paused. "Mu Bai, after dinner, will you come shopping with me? I heard the Xinmiao boutique has new arrivals today." Xia Xinghe, hearing the familiar voice, spun around, locking eyes with Shi Mu Bai's deep gaze. It was him. He never imagined he'd run into him here, 3 years after their divorce. "You're Xia Xinghe?" Shi Mu Bai stared, stunned, disbelief etched on his face. Chu Tianxing's face paled. "Oh my God, you're Xia Xinghe? What happened to you?" Xia Xinghe trembled. "You've mistaken me for someone else. I'm not Xia Xinghe." He turned to flee, desperate to escape this humiliating encounter. He couldn't face his wealthy ex-husband and his still beautiful rival in this pathetic state. Xia Xinghe's panicked escape was cut short as Shi Mu Bai chased after him. "Xia Xinghe, stop!" He grabbed his arm. Xia Xinghe recoiled as if stung, struggling and crying out, "Let me go! I'm not Xia Xinghe." He was beyond reason, consumed by the need to escape. He bolted into the street, oblivious to the oncoming car. "Xia Xinghe, look out!" Shi Mu Bai yelled, but it was too late. The car slammed into Xia Xinghe, his head striking the pavement. His world went black. He drifted into a long dream. He dreamt of his life before 19, the lost memories slowly returning. He wasn't the unloved Xia Xinghe he believed himself to be. He shouldn't have suffered so much. He had once been gifted, privileged, yet now he was a broken man. The weight of his tragic life brought tears to his eyes, even in his dream. In a hospital room, the doctor updated Shi Mu Bai on his condition. His injuries aren't serious, just a mild concussion from the impact. However, he's suffering from long-term malnutrition and needs to regain his strength. Shi Mu Bai frowned. "Malnutrition? I gave him so much alimony. How could this happen?" He glanced at Xia Xinghe, just as a tear slipped from the corner of his eye. His expression flickered with complex emotions. Beside him, Chu Tianxing sneered at Xia Xinghe. "You were never a match for me before. Now, old and ugly, you're even less so." She took Shi Mu Bai's arm. "We're supposed to be discussing our wedding plans tonight. Shouldn't we leave?" Shi Mu Bai nodded and they left. Shortly after their departure, Xia Xinghe's eyes snapped open. He sat up with effort, a look of disbelief on his face. Could be. Had he regained his lost memories? I remember everything. He had been a brilliant student, but a car accident had caused amnesia, leaving him a shell of his former self. His timid nature made him a target, losing not only his husband, but also his father's inheritance to his stepmother. Fate had dealt him a cruel hand. But now his memories had returned. He would no longer be a victim of circumstance. Xia Xinghe walked to an old wooden door and knocked. It quickly opened. The thin boy asked anxiously, "Sister, what's wrong? How did you get hurt?" Xia Xinghe quickly explained, "I'm fine. I was just in a small car accident." His uncle, Xia Chengwu, with his graying hair, anxiously asked, "Xinghe, you're back. What happened to you? You're covered in injuries." Looking at his worried uncle and cousin, Xia Xinghe felt a warmth spread through him. Ever since his father's death, his uncle had taken his place. When he had lost his memory, Xia Ji was just a child. He could have gone to the best university, but for the sake of their family, he had only attended a local school. Xia Xinghe hugged him tightly and said, "Uncle, I'm really okay. And this accident was a blessing in disguise. It brought back my memory." Xia Chengwu and Xia Ji were startled. "You've regained your memory?" "Yes, I remember everything. Those who took what belonged to the Xia family, I will make them pay back every single thing." At the hospital, Shi Mu Bai's assistant spoke. "Mr. Shi, we only left for a moment and Miss Xia disappeared. She didn't even take the money you left." Shi Mu Bai frowned deeply. He was so badly injured in the accident. Where could he have gone? He didn't even take the money. He felt inexplicably irritated. Did Xia Xinghe care so little for his own well-being? Back in the car, his assistant handed him a phone. Sir, here's the information you requested. According to the investigation, Xia Xinghe has worked many jobs over the past 3 years to care for his sick uncle and cousin. He's worked as a cleaner, a dishwasher, but every time, because of his quiet and reserved nature, he was bullied and ostracized. It led to him not being able to hold down any job for long. The hardships of life have aged him considerably. He looks 35, though he's only 25. Remembering how Xia Xinghe had looked yesterday, Shi Mubai admitted that he had been shocked. He received a considerable alimony payment, didn't he? Could something have gone wrong? At the Shi family home, Shi Mubai confronted his mother. Mom, tell me honestly, did Xia Xinghe ever receive that alimony payment? Why do you care about that after all these years? From her reaction, Shi Mubai understood. The alimony hadn't been accepted. Why didn't you tell me? His mother said indifferently. It's not like I didn't offer it. He refused it himself. That's stubborn. Strange man. Could I have forced him to take it? Mubai, your marriage to him was a mistake from the beginning. Your father was just too proud to break off the engagement, so you were wronged. Now that you're divorced, you shouldn't have anything more to do with him. Shi Mubai said in a low voice. I'm the one who wronged him. I made him suffer so much. If Xiao Lin knew how his mother had become, he would blame me too. Thinking of Xia Xinghe's current state, Shi Mubai felt a pang of guilt. Xinghe, after all these years, I never imagined you had silently endured so much. I owe you. I will make it up to you. A deliberate act of murder and a failed marriage had reduced him from a life of privilege to his current state. Thankfully, he still had his caring uncle and cousin. Xia Ji was happy that Xia Xinghe's memory had returned, but he was also a little worried. His older cousin had once been so brilliant. Remembering the past and comparing it to the present, Xia Xinghe was undoubtedly hurting. He was indeed hurting, but the feeling quickly faded. He was never one to wallow in self-pity. Changing the subject, he asked, Xia Ji, what kind of work are you planning to look for? I studied computer science. I plan to join a network company. But don't worry, I won't go to Shi Corporation. Shi Corp had originally made its fortune in real estate and hotels, but years ago, Shi Mubai had, with remarkable foresight, chosen the lucrative network market. Now, under Shi Mubai's leadership, Shi Corp was one of the top companies in the country. Xia Xinghe offered reassurance. Shi Corp has advanced technology, excellent management, and good benefits. It's a good platform for development. You could go there. But Xia Ji was firm. I won't go. They treated you so badly. Xia Xinghe didn't force the issue. All right, if you don't want to go, then don't. We'll start our own network company someday. The next morning, a knock echoed on the door. It was Shi Mubai. Xinghe, I need to talk to you. Xia Xinghe was puzzled. What are you doing here? I know about the divorce settlement. I owed you. Please accept this. He held out a check. Thank you, but I don't need this. You don't owe me anything. I don't want anything more to do with you. Shi Mubai frowned. I didn't take this money 3 years ago, and I won't take it now. He walked slowly to the window, his thoughts consumed by his son. Turning, he said, just take good care of Xiaolin. Xia Ji, please see our guest out. Shi Mubai stared intently at him. He seemed different now. Then he turned and left. At the hospital, despite Xia Ji's protests, Xia Xinghe returned to his room. He thought about the mounting hospital bills. Now that his memory had returned, he couldn't burden his family any longer. Xia Ji, what are you doing? My senior offered me a 2,000 yuan job for activating something. I tried it, but it's taking too long. He needs it urgently, but I can't finish it. I'll have to tell him to find someone else. Xia Xinghe's eyes flickered. He thought for a moment, then said, Xia Ji, give me the laptop. I'll try. Xia Ji stared, stunned. He handed over the laptop. Xia Xinghe's fingers brushed the keyboard. He hadn't touched these things in years. But the moment his hands touched the keys, memories flooded back. The logic of this little game was basic, just tedious. It was easy for most people to make mistakes. The tedious process demanded intense focus. One slip-up could ruin everything. It required constant testing and revisions, which took a lot of time. But for him, it was effortless. He knew these operations by heart. His hands moved instinctively, knowing what to type without even thinking. He became completely absorbed, his fingers flying across the keyboard. Xia Ji nearly fell to the floor in shock. How was this possible? His cousin knew computers, and he was this good? His programming speed was blinding. He was on par with a top-tier programmer. He watched, captivated, afraid to interrupt. 45 minutes later, in less than an hour, Xia Xinghe finished the software. Xia Ji's legs trembled. You're done? Cousin, really? You finished so fast. Xia Xinghe handed him the laptop. Yes, test it. See if there are any problems. As the program ran, the result displayed 100%. Xia Ji's mind reeled. He looked at Xia Xinghe, wondering if his cousin had been possessed. His family was injured, their lives in danger. Yet he had taken his last few coins to an internet cafe, and he did it to earn enough for the exorbitant surgery fees. The cousins, happily returning home, heard a commotion. They saw a menacing man smash a bottle across Xia Chengwu's face. Already ill, Xia Chengwu collapsed. Xia Xinghe and Xia Ji rushed to his side. Xia Chengwu's face was pale. His illness had flared up. He urged Xia Ji to call an ambulance. The man offered excuses. Xia Xinghe looked up, her gaze icy. "Who sent you?" Her eyes were cold, radiating power. The man recoiled. "Tell me who sent you, and you'll be spared. Otherwise, I'll see you in court." The man looked at the slender woman and decided against further provocation. "It was a woman. She paid me to get rid of you. I only know her surname is Wu. Wu Rong." Recognition flashed in Xia Xinghe's eyes. At the hospital, the doctor said gravely, "His condition is critical. He needs a kidney transplant immediately. We have a donor. If you agree, the surgery can be done tomorrow." Xia Xinghe asked, "How much will the transplant cost?" "All expenses included, around 300,000 yuan." Hearing the astronomical figure, Xia Xinghe felt dizzy. Xia Ji was distraught. "Cousin, I only have 50 yuan left. Where are we going to get 300,000? Looking at her panicked cousin, Xia Xinghe held out her hand. "Xia Ji, give me your 50 yuan. I have a way." Xia Ji hesitated. "Cousin, don't do anything reckless. We can't resort to illegal activities, even if we're desperate." "Don't worry, I won't." Xia Xinghe went straight to a nearby internet cafe. While at the hospital, she had researched ways to make money, such as the bounty programs offered by large internet companies that encourage hackers to find software vulnerabilities. Not only that, some hacker organizations even establish competitive policies. Winners are rewarded, and all he had to do was finish everything tonight. The computer screen flickered to life. Xia Xinghe dove back into the familiar, yet long-missed, world of coding. Suddenly, a text message from Xia Ji popped up on his phone. His heart skipped a beat. His sister had been gone less than half an hour and had already earned 5,000 yuan. What method was she using to make money so quickly? Staring at the challenge request that appeared on his screen, Xinghe flexed his wrists. Another hacker challenging me? These small fry hackers only are a few thousand yuan each. It's a waste of my time. Come at me, all of you. If these are the only kinds of small jobs available, it'll take forever to reach 300,000. I need to find some real challenges. Meanwhile, Xia Ji's heart pounded with excitement. Every few minutes, another sum of money appeared in her phone. The balance in her account steadily climbed. Looking at the security system Knight Corporation had just developed this year, Xia Xinghe thought, cracking Knight's security system won't be easy, but it shouldn't be impossible for me. I don't really want to help them, but 300,000 yuan is 300,000 yuan. To crack a top-level system like this, I need to have all the advanced algorithms at my fingertips. Perfect synchronization between hand and mind. The slightest mistake could ruin everything. In this familiar digital world, Xia Xinghe was the true king. Unstoppable, a force of nature. Xia Xinghe, after toiling through the night, had no idea the impact his actions would have. The hacker known as 001 had single-handedly taken down several prominent figures in the hacking world. He had not only breached Knight Corporation's systems and those of several other major companies, but he had also done so without leaving a trace, making it impossible to determine his identity. He had effectively wiped out the top 20 hackers. This was the news Shi Mubai received that morning. Who is this 001? He's caused such a commotion. Is it really just about the money? No matter who this person is, I have to find them. In the car, having just finalized wedding dress measurements with Chu Tianxing, Shi Mubai suddenly asked, "Chang'in, I asked you to look into Xinghe's situation this morning. Any news? I just found out and was about to report to you, sir. His uncle is critically ill and needs a kidney transplant. His whole family should be at the hospital now." Shi Mubai's heart lurched. To the hospital. At that moment, Xia Xinghe sat in the hospital corridor, lost in thought. Seeing his exhaustion, Xia Ji approached him with concern. Just then, Shi Mubai and Chu Tianxing arrived. Both siblings wondered what they were doing there. "Hello, Miss Xia. Our CEO heard about Mr. Xia's illness and came to visit him." Xia Ji responded coldly. "I wasn't aware our relationship with Mr. Xi was so close." Then, Chu Tianxing put on a fake, concerned expression. Xinghe, I heard about your uncle's health problems, and that you don't have the money. I'm Lin Lin's mother, so we decided to help you. Xia Xinghe sneered inwardly. Help? This reeks of condescension. Chu Tianxing continued, oblivious. Xinghe, this isn't the time to be stubborn. Without money, are you going to just watch your uncle not make it? Xia Xinghe rolled his eyes. Could you please just shut up? A shadow of anger flickered in Chu Tianxing's eyes. Shimu Bai was startled by Xinghe's change in demeanor. He really was different. It was as if a newfound confidence had taken root deep within his soul. Xinghe, I'm not here to offer charity. He presented the check again. This is the compensation I owe you. Accept it, and we could be even. Xia Xinghe considered it for a moment. Fine, I'll take it. Seeing him accept the check, Shimu Bai started to smile, but then watched in disbelief as Xinghe promptly tore it to shreds. Xia Xinghe flicked his wrist, scattering the pieces. Now we're even. Even Chu Tianxing felt a pang of sympathy for the wasted money. He had just torn up 100 million yuan. Shimu Bai's face darkened, his expression unreadable. He admitted he was shaken by Xia Xinghe's actions. Very well, it seems I was mistaken. This wretch is so ungrateful. Mubai must be furious with him now. Just watch your uncle die because of your stupid pride, she thought. At this moment, the doctor walked over. Chu Tianxing, recognizing an acquaintance, quickly said, Dr. Wang, my friend's uncle is ill. Please tell me, what's his condition? Miss Chu, Mr. Xiao's condition is not optimistic. He needs a kidney transplant. Chu Tianxing feigned concern, saying, a kidney transplant? That must be quite expensive. Yes, indeed it is. The surgery alone costs 300,000 yuan. Suppressing a smirk, Chu Tianxing declared, well then, Dr. Miss Xia, put uncle's surgery on my tab. No matter the cost, I'll cover it. Don't worry about it. I'm happy to do this much for a friend. Dr. Wang looked surprised, but they've already paid for the surgery. Didn't you know, Miss Chu? Chu Tianxing froze. What did you say? Her ex-husband's family member is sick, and the man brings his current girlfriend to offer support. The woman, assuming they couldn't afford the surgery, had intended to trample on their pride. But unexpectedly, the doctor revealed the surgery was already paid for. She found it unbelievable. How was that possible? Where did they get 300,000 yuan? Shimu Bai finally understood. It wasn't that Xia Xinghe was proud. She genuinely didn't need his help. Chu Tianxing turned to Xia Xinghe and asked, where did you get the money? Then, jumping to conclusions, she added, Xinghe, even though your family is poor, you shouldn't do anything shady. Shimu Bai, understanding her insinuation, snapped, Chu Tianxing, enough. With that, he turned and left without a backward glance. Chu Tianxing couldn't believe Shimu Bai had yelled at her for that woman. She seethed, we'll see who wins in the end. I'm about to marry Mu Bai, and you'll never be better than me. Xia Xinghe responded with indifference. Only you would see Shimu Bai as some kind of prize. You seem to forget he's the man I didn't want, and you're just picking up my leftovers. With that, she ignored her. Chu Tianxing trembled with rage. She never expected Xia Xinghe to say such a thing. In the hospital room, Xia Ji, worried his sister might be upset, tried to comfort her. Xia Xinghe smiled faintly and assured him she was fine. Xia Ji leaned in and whispered, Sister, let me get revenge for you. Let Chu Tianxing have a taste of being bullied. What do you have in mind? Xia Ji grinned mischievously. You'll see. At the Shi Corporation building, Shimu Bai had already returned to his office. His assistant informed him that Chu Tianxing had left by taxi. Shimu Bai didn't inquire further. He thought about how she had tried to force her help on Xia Xinghe and then made malicious assumptions and slandered her. It was utterly foolish. Was this woman truly fit to be Lin Lin's mother? In the hospital lobby, Xia Ji, clutching his laptop, cursed angrily. Xia Xinghe, passing by, overheard him. Xia Ji had seen Chu Tianxing's chat logs, filled with slander against his sister. Xiao Ji, you hacked her computer? Impressive. Xia Xinghe watched with interest. She hadn't realized Chu Tianxing was a writer and even had a published book. She thought, Xiao Ji is right. It's time to teach her a lesson. She selected the file and permanently deleted it. But that wasn't all. Xia Xinghe's fingers flew across the keyboard. Then, a knowing smile spread across her face. Suddenly, the door burst open. Xiao, something's happened. What is it? Why the panic? The assistant held out his phone. It's Miss Chu's social media. She's posted. Shimu Bai looked and saw a series of highly suggestive photos. His eye twitched. When Chu Tianxing saw the posts, she frantically called Shimu Bai. His voice was ice cold. Chu Tianxing, a lot of people have seen this, including my parents. Whatever the reason, you have 10 minutes to take care of it. Chu Tianxing, about to offer an explanation, found Shimu Bai had already hung up. Back at the hospital, Xiaji, still fuming over Chu Tianxing's slander, said, "Sister, you're feeling better now. Here's the leftover money, over 100,000 yuan. Go buy yourself some clothes." Xia Xinghe replied, "You keep it for now, Xiaoji. I don't need it right now. Stay here and look after uncle. I'll be back later." Xiaji asked, puzzled, "Where are you going?" "To find a place to live, of course. Someone's been squatting in my house for long enough. It's time for her to get out." This woman, how vicious she was. The true heiress returned, but she turned the imposter into a fool. After her husband's death, she became even more ruthless, not only seizing the inheritance, but also trying to destroy the girl completely. But what's stolen is always stolen. Now, it's finally time for her to pay her debts. Xia Xinghe arrived at a familiar villa and rang the doorbell. The person who opened the door stared at her, stunned. "Are you the eldest daughter, Wu Rong, at home?" Xia Xinghe asked indifferently. "What eldest daughter? Chen Ma, are you senile?" "Wu Shuang is the eldest daughter of this house," Wu Rong declared arrogantly, descending the stairs. Facing Wu Rong's attempt to intimidate her, Xia Xinghe coldly approached him. "Wu Rong, in my house. How did my father die? How did my car accident happen? What tricks did you play with the inheritance? Do you really think I don't know?" Wu Rong's face paled. "Xia Xinghe, you've recovered your memory." At that moment, 2 security guards entered. Wu Rong pointed at her. "Throw this woman out. From now on, she's not allowed to step foot in my house." As the 2 security guards moved to grab her, Xia Xinghe said calmly, "This villa was left to me by my father. I don't know when it became yours." With that, she walked directly inside. They thought she was going to do something rash, but she crouched down in front of a wall and knocked on it. Then, she removed a brick and pulled out a property deed. When Wu Rong saw that the owner listed on the deed was Xia Xinghe, he gritted his teeth. "How is this possible? I searched every corner of this house." "Xia Xinghe, you disrespect your elders. You're trying to steal the house with a fake deed. I'll teach you a lesson on behalf of your father." But before he could move, Xia Xinghe swiftly kicked the back of his knee. Wu Rong yelped and crumpled to the floor. "You say it's fake? Then show me the real one." Wu Rong struggled to get up. "Xia Xinghe, if you keep acting like this, I'll call the police." Xia Xinghe nodded. "You don't have to bother calling the police. I've already done it for you." Wu Rong's face drained of color, his expression stiffening. Just then, the wail of police sirens grew closer. He knew that if the police actually investigated, the property information would reveal the truth about what happened back then. He turned to leave. Xia Xinghe's voice rang out, cold and sharp. "Wu Rong, from now on, you're not allowed to step foot in my house. Everything that belongs to me, that you've taken, I will get back. With interest." The next morning, Xia Xinghe planned to clean the villa before picking up Xiaji and her uncle. Looking out, she saw a familiar face. "Why is he here?" Between the 2 villas, their eyes met. Shimu Bai was surprised. She had actually managed to reclaim the house. Her personality was truly different from her previous silence. As Xia Xinghe left the villa, Shimu Bai's car pulled up beside her. "Get in. I'll give you a ride." Xia Xinghe ignored him. "Don't misunderstand. I just have something to tell you. It's about Xiaolin." Hearing this, Xia Xinghe stopped. Inside the car, Shimu Bai said, "Xiaolin has rarely asked about you these past few years. I thought he didn't have any feelings for you. But the truth is, he still cares about you. Although he hasn't said it, I can see it. Xiaolin's 4th birthday is coming up soon. If you don't mind, come to his birthday party." Xia Xinghe felt a pang of sadness. She had avoided seeing him before because she didn't want Xiaolin to know that his mother was worthless. But now, she didn't need to hold back anymore. "Okay," Xia Xinghe simply replied. Hearing her answer, Shimu Bai felt a strange sense of relief. Had he thought she wouldn't agree? Thankfully, she did. She had been driven out of her home by her stepmother, her inheritance stolen. Destitute, she only had her uncle and younger brother. When others called her a penniless nobody, her brother would retort, "Mind your own business." When others sneered that she was old, ugly, and stupid, her brother would declare her the most beautiful woman in the world. But today, her brother, who never caused trouble, had been nearly beaten to death. Xia Xinghe felt all the blood rush to her head, despite her usual calm demeanor. Anyone who dared to cross her now would face her wrath. At the hospital, Xia Xinghe pulled out her laptop and discovered that the men who attacked Xia Ji were bodyguards of Cui Ming from the Cui Network Company. And Cui Ming was Wu Rong's son-in-law. Elsewhere, Wu Rong was still plotting revenge, but not against Xia Xinghe. Xiao Wushuang said nonchalantly, "Don't worry, Mom. Chui Ming has connections in both the legal and underworld. Once the Shi Corporation and Shui Corporation contract is finalized, we'll have someone take care of him." Chui Ming spoke up from the side. "We've developed new antivirus software and plan to integrate it into Shi Corporation's operating system. I've invested heavily in this collaboration, hiring a powerful team for its development. This project's profits account for a staggering 80% of the entire corporation's revenue. Rest assured," he continued, "once the collaboration is successful, I'll make sure Xia Xinghe suffers a fate worse than death." Unbeknownst to him, Xia Xinghe was already in the process of cracking his so-called strongest antivirus software. With a triumphant, bird-like chirp from her computer, the software was breached. Xia Xinghe murmured, "It just so happens I need money to reinvent myself. Since you hurt my family," she thought, "you'll be the one to pay for it." Meanwhile, at Chui Corporation, Chui Ming was in a rage. "I wasted so much money hiring you all," he roared. "It's not that we're incompetent," his team pleaded. "It's just that this hacker is incredibly powerful. Every device that installs our antivirus software crashes. We simply can't pinpoint the problem." Just then, Chui Ming's phone chimed with a text message. It was from Shimu Bai. "If the crashing issue isn't resolved within 3 days, we will consider alternative partners." Panic seized Cui Ming. He shrieked hysterically, 5 million. Spread the word. Whoever can solve this problem within 3 days gets 5 million. At that moment, Xia Xinghe was leisurely reviewing some data when Xia Ji, having heard about the reward, rushed in. "Sis, have you seen Chui Corporation's post? It's blown up the hacker forums. 5 million for cracking a virus." Xia Xinghe paused. "Only 5 million? Chui Corporation is in serious trouble. Solving this virus is worth far more than 5 million. If they can't fix it, their losses will be far greater." Xia Ji, still clueless, asked, "How do you know so much?" Xia Xinghe glanced at him. "I hacked into Chui Corporation's internal network," she revealed calmly. "I created the virus." Xia Ji stared at her in disbelief. "Sis, you're not joking, are you? Why would you do that? You'll be in trouble if they find out." Xia Xinghe patted his shoulder. "Chui Corporation, Chui Ming himself, is the one who had you attacked. This is the price he pays. And Chui Ming is Xiao Wushuang's husband." 3 days passed in a flash. Chui Ming was now groveling. "Please, grant me a little more time." Chang'an replied coldly. "CEO, she instructed me to inform you that Shi Corporation has many other companies to choose from. Just one day." Cui Ming pleaded. "Please tell CEO Chui Corporation will absolutely resolve this issue within 1 day." Back in his office, Chui Ming felt his world crumbling. Suddenly, a text message arrived. He checked it. It was from the recently renowned hacker 001. "I can solve your problem, but 5 million is too little." Chui Ming, grasping at this lifeline, immediately raised the reward to 10 million. Seeing this, Xia Xinghe finally allowed herself a satisfied smile. They all mocked her as a useless, foolish girl, but she was a top-tier presence, sweeping through the entire world of hacking. Viruses that left others stumped, she eradicated with ease. Consequently, major corporations were eager to recruit this mysterious hacker. Xia Xinghe noticed a new dialog box pop up. Someone was offering 1 million to challenge her. Thinking it foolish to refuse free money, she accepted the challenge without much thought. But then she saw the challenger's IP address and realized something was amiss. It belonged to Shi Corporation. She issued a warning. "Shimu Bai, curb your curiosity, or don't blame me for what happens." Seeing the warning, Shimu Bai didn't stop. "You already know my identity. Isn't it fair for me to learn yours?" Xia Xinghe realized her carelessness. However, in such a short time, he shouldn't have been able to breach her defenses yet. She had to disconnect before he could infiltrate her system. Shimu Bai seized the opportunity to try and recruit her, hoping she would work for his company. He assumed that with Shi Corporation's reputation and her own skills, she wouldn't refuse his offer. To his surprise, she flatly declined. Seeing her arrogance, Shimu Bai launched an attack, determined to uncover her location. But his attack was swiftly neutralized. There won't be a second time. With one final warning, she severed the connection. Shimu Bai racked his brain, trying to figure out the hacker's identity, but he still had no leads. With Xiaoling's birthday party approaching the next day, Chu Tianxing suggested inviting Xia Xinghe. Shimu Bai's mother, upon hearing this, disapproved. She scorned Xia Xinghe's perceived poverty, believing her presence would only embarrass Xiao Ling, Chu Tianxing feigned concern, saying, "I was thinking that Xiao Ling hasn't seen his mother in years. If Mu Bai and I get married, I'm afraid he'll be even less inclined to see her." Seeing such an understanding daughter-in-law, Shimu Bai's mother was quite pleased. Meanwhile, Chu Tianxing was scheming inwardly. The party would be incredibly lavish, and someone like Xia Xinghe would undoubtedly stick out like a sore thumb. She imagined Xia Xinghe showing up in clothes that looked worse than a server's uniform. Just then, Chang'an arrived with Xiao Ling. "Have all the arrangements for tomorrow's party been made?" he asked. Miss Xia said she'll definitely be there tomorrow, but she doesn't need the dress and jewelry. She'll prepare her own. Chu Tianxing was only then realizing that Mu Bai had already invited that despicable woman before she had even suggested it. They've been divorced for so long, she thought, fuming, and Mu Bai is still contacting her behind my back. Mu Bai couldn't understand how Xia Xinghe, with no money, could possibly prepare anything suitable. But knowing her stubborn nature, he decided not to press the issue. Looking at his quiet son, he asked, "Tomorrow is your birthday. What gift do you want?" Xiao Ling mumbled, "Nothing," though he secretly harbored a wish. But he knew it was pointless to ask. They wouldn't agree. Seeing his son's dejected demeanor, Mu Bai decided to keep Xia Xinghe's invitation a secret, hoping to surprise him tomorrow. Shimu Bai's mother suddenly announced that they would be publicly announcing their engagement at the party. Chu Tianxing perked up, relishing the thought of Xia Xinghe being humiliated in front of everyone. She could hardly wait for the party to begin. Meanwhile, Xia Xinghe was gazing at a photograph of her son. For 3 long years, she had missed out on his life, missed every single birthday. "Tomorrow, I'll finally see you, my son," she whispered. A wealthy father spares no expense for his 4-year-old son's birthday. But the boy is not only unhappy, he's resentful. It turns out his grandmother plans to announce his father's wedding to another woman at the party, a woman he deeply dislikes. And what he doesn't know is that this woman has invited his impoverished birth mother with the sole intention of humiliating her in front of everyone. In the banquet hall, Chu Tianxing played the role of hostess, eagerly anticipating Xia Xinghe's arrival. Xia Wushuang approached to greet her. Seeing him, Chu Tianxing feigned surprise. "Why didn't you come with your sister?" she asked. Xia Wushuang was taken aback, thinking she was joking. With Xia Xinghe's shabby appearance, why would she come to a place like this? Chu Tianxing put on an innocent expression. "But I had Mu Bai invite her. He promised me she would come." Hearing this, Xia Wushuang let out a delighted laugh, thinking how foolish Xia Xinghe was to actually come. She was clearly thick-skinned enough to withstand public ridicule. Exchanging knowing glances, they raised their glasses in a silent toast. Just then, Chang'an rushed over, asking if anyone had seen Xiao Ling. Chu Tianxing, knowing full well where the boy was, pointed him in the opposite direction. Her intention was to make everyone think Xiao Ling was disobedient. The more trouble he caused, the more it would reflect poorly on Xia Xinghe, gradually alienating him from everyone, including his father. A murmur spread through the hall. The party was about to begin, but the birthday boy was nowhere to be found. Listening to the guests gossiping about Xiao Ling, Chu Tianxing smiled with satisfaction. Tonight, she would be the star of the show. Outside the hotel, a sleek red Ferrari pulled up, drawing envious stares for passers-by. A pair of elegant legs emerged from the car. The moment they saw who it was, the nearby staff were mesmerized. A flustered staff member approached, asking, "Miss, may I see your?" Before he could finish, the woman held out 2 fingers, an invitation clasped between them. The staff member opened the invitation. "So her name is Xia Xinghe," he said. "Is she some famous star? I've never seen her before." Just then, a small figure darted out from the side. "Who did you say she is?" The staff member instinctively replied, "Xia Xinghe." He looked closer. "Isn't that the birthday boy?" Xiao Ling froze, his eyes wide with shock. That woman, Xia Xinghe, was his mother? And she was here, at his birthday party? He couldn't let her in. Not now. Not when they were about to announce his father's engagement to Chu Tianxing. He didn't want his mother to know. He bolted forward, his small hand reaching out and grabbing Xia Xinghe's. Xia Xinghe looked down, startled. Their eyes met. A mother and son reunited after 3 long years. In that single, charged moment, Xia Xinghe recognized him. Her gaze locked onto the small face before her, brimming with unshed tears. The stillness within her, a well of dried emotions, rippled with a sudden surge of feeling. "It's been a long time, my little Ling." A restless murmur spread through the guests in the banquet hall. The buzz of conversation grew louder. A bodyguard approached Shimu Bai. Young Master Xiaoling has been found, sir, he reported. Si Mu Bai Faoen pulled out. Just then, the side door slowly opened. Chu Tianxing, poised to relish in Xia Xinghe's humiliation, was about to have her own moment stolen. She hadn't anticipated being upstaged by a 4-year-old. The spotlight she craved was snatched away, leaving her unexpectedly sidelined. As the door swung wider, Xia Xinghe emerged, clad in a black evening gown. She moved with the regal grace of a queen, her powerful presence radiating an undeniable magnetism that drew every eye. Her breathtaking beauty, coupled with a cool, detached expression, was utterly captivating. Shimu Bai stared, transfixed, struggling to believe his eyes. Unfazed by the multitude of gazes, Xia Xinghe's indifferent eyes betrayed no emotion. It was as if everyone around her were mere inanimate objects. Yet, in their eyes, she shone with an incandescent brilliance. A brilliance that was almost blinding, especially to Chu Tianxing. She stared at Xia Xinghe in disbelief. Could this truly be the same woman, the one she dismissed as old and ugly? The cruel reality was undeniable. Whispers rippled through the crowd as people began to recognize her. Who is she? I've never seen her before. She looks like CEO Xi's ex-wife. Why else would young master she be holding her hand? I heard she was an ordinary person. How could she be so beautiful? Chu Tianxing's face paled as the whispers swirled around her. She couldn't become the laughingstock of the party. She refused to be humiliated. Composing herself with a forced smile, she chirped, Xiaoling, where have you been? Your father and I were so worried. Oh, Xia Xinghe, you finally arrived. Where did you borrow that dress? It suits you. Mother and son, seemingly oblivious to her words, walked past. Seething with anger, Chu Tianxing watched them go, powerless to stop them. Xiaoling reached out and took Shimu Bai's hand. Both adults froze, caught off guard. The little boy, holding his mother's hand in his left and his father's in his right, created a picture of familial bliss. It was a heartwarming scene that tugged at the heartstrings of anyone who witnessed it. Chu Tianxing ground her teeth, her fury barely contained. Shimu Bai's mother, finally recovering from her surprise, asked, Xiaoling, where were you? Xiaoling, still holding both their hands, replied happily, Grandma, I met Mommy outside. Xia Xinghe looked at her son with a warmth in her eyes. She hadn't expected him to recognize her so quickly. Shimu Bai was equally surprised by the change in her. The Xia Xinghe, he remembered, had been a beautiful but empty shell. Now, she radiated a light that seemed to emanate from within. Xiaoling looked up at his father. Can Mommy stay with us when we cut the cake? He asked. Shimu Bai readily agreed. They took their seats, and soft music began to play. As she watched her son close his eyes to make a wish, Xia Xinghe drifted into a reverie. Xiaoling's voice, clear and bright, brought her back to the present. I wish Mommy and Daddy could always be together. The simple wish hung in the air, charged with unspoken emotions. Xia Xinghe and Shimu Bai exchanged stunned glances. A wave of astonishment rippled through the guests. Chu Tianxing, however, felt a surge of mortification. The whispers around her were deafening. She had invited Xia Xinghe to make herself look better, but now she was the one being overshadowed. Xia Xinghe, oblivious to Chu Tianxing's discomfort, was completely absorbed in her son's wish. He wants to live with me? She thought, her heart swelling with emotion. She interpreted his words as a desire to be with her alone. A surge of determination coursed through her. I have to become stronger. Strong enough to fight. Shimu Bai for custody of Xiaoling. Xia Xinghe had 2 daughters. Her older daughter was brilliant and independent, never swayed by material possessions. Her younger daughter, however, was frivolous and envious, obsessed with ruining her older sister's life. During the years of her sister's struggles, she had been relentlessly cruel. Seeing her now, seemingly reborn from the ashes of her former destitution, Xia Wushuang's envious heart ignited once more. Xia Xinghe caught her sister staring at her with icy coldness. Breaking from her usual demeanor, she returned a look of disdain. Xia Wushuang's blood boiled. She swore she would make Xia Xinghe and her son pay. Seeing her sister's obvious agitation, Xia Xinghe offered a clear, cold smile and turned away. Shimu Bai's mother, however, scowled at Xia Xinghe. Let me tell you, Mu Bai and Tianxing are getting married. Don't even think about trying anything. Xia Xinghe glanced indifferently at Shimu Bai. Are you suggesting I'm trying to seduce him? I think you've misunderstood something. In fact, there's only one male in this entire room who catches my eye, and that's my son. She moved by, however, understood the implication in her gaze. This woman was looking down on him. The tension between them crackled in the air. Just then, Xiaoling spilled cake on himself. Shimu Bai's mother quickly ordered her to go and clean him up. Watching her son from afar, clearly reluctant to leave her side, Xia Xinghe knew he was trying to protect her. He had deliberately spilled the cake. Shimu Bai suddenly explained, I only invited you today to surprise Xiaoling. Everything else wasn't my intention. Xia Xinghe stood, her expression indifferent. I agreed to come. Nothing else matters. With that, she turned to leave. Xiao Wushuang, who had been waiting in the wings, rose with a triumphant smirk and blocked her path. Look how quickly you bounced back, she sneered. But it seems the Shi family still looks down on you. Xia Xinghe remained impassive. I know you hate me, but I don't understand. You, a charity case taken in by my family. What right do you have to hate me? Xiao Wushuang grabbed her arm. I just can't stand you, she hissed. Why? When we're both daughters of the Xia family, are you treated like royalty? Why did father give you everything? Why did you get everything so easily? Xia Xinghe's voice rang with conviction. Because I am the only true daughter of the Xia family. Xiao Wushuang suddenly embraced her, murmuring affectionate words, then recoiled as if struck, falling to the ground. She clutched her stomach, crying out in pain. Chu Tianqing rushed to her side, anxiously asking what was wrong. Everyone around them stared in shock, unsure what had happened. But it certainly looked as if Xia Xinghe had pushed Xiao Wushuang. Xiao Wushuang whimpered, Sister, it wasn't on purpose. Chu Tianqing's voice dripped with fury. She's bullied you your whole life, and now she dares to harm our child. He ordered someone to call the police. Xia Xinghe let out a cold laugh. Is this your little scheme? Stealing my family's fortune wasn't enough? Now you want to frame me and send me to prison? How utterly foolish. Xiao Wushuang and Chu Tianqing continued their performance. He, the outraged husband, defending his wife. She, the tearful sister, heartbroken by her siblings' actions. Their act culminated in a display of utter disappointment and helplessness towards Xia Xinghe. The onlookers felt a surge of empathy, understanding their plight. Simultaneously, they felt a wave of anger towards Xia Xinghe. Though they didn't know the truth, it didn't stop them from imagining her malice. In their eyes, she was a woman rotten to the core. A woman willing to send her own sister to prison. A truly pathetic sight. And the reason for her cruelty? Pure, unadulterated jealousy. Their dramatic performance convinced everyone. Accusations and condemnations rained down on Xia Xinghe, engulfing her in a storm of public outrage. The police arrived shortly after. Chu Tianqing pointed at Xia Xinghe, declaring, She tried to harm my wife and child. She's the culprit. The lead officer, without hesitation, moved to arrest her. Shimu Bai stepped forward. I heard her say they were framing her. You should give her a chance to explain herself. Seeing him, the officers hesitated. Xia Xinghe addressed them directly. What's the penalty for false accusation? One of the officers replied, the same as intentional assault. A week in jail at minimum, up to 3 years. Xia Xinghe sneered inwardly. So, regardless of who was at fault, one of them would be imprisoned for at least a week. The officer hesitated, glancing at Chu Tianqing. Xia Xinghe pressed her advantage. Well, are you afraid to answer? Are the police afraid of the Chu family's influence? Chu Tianqing, confident in his flawless scheme, replied smoothly, If we're lying, the police will naturally handle it accordingly. Xia Xinghe wasted no more words. She pulled a recording device directly from her bag. As she pressed play, Xiao Wushuang's venomous voice echoed through the hall. Xiao Wushuang froze, her supposed stomach pains vanishing. Chui Ming, sensing the shift, lunged to destroy the evidence. But Shimu Bai blocked him, his dark eyes fixed on Chui Ming with an icy intensity that stopped him in his tracks. Shimu Bai's face was grim. Still denying it? He asked. Xiao Wushuang, seeing the tables turn, panicked. That's not my voice, she shrieked. But even the police seemed powerless to help her now. Chui Ming suddenly spoke up. You can't arrest someone based on a recording alone, he declared. He glanced at his wife, Xiao Wushuang, then, with a dramatic shift, launched into a tearful performance. My poor child, he wailed. What kind of mother would sacrifice her own child to hurt someone else? Xia Xinghe watched his performance with disdain. Your child, she said, her voice dripping with sarcasm. You know yourself whether that pregnancy is real or not. Since you brought it up, let's find a doctor and have it examined. Xiao Wushuang's face paled. At that moment, a man in a suit stepped forward, announcing himself as a doctor and offering to conduct the examination. He asked Cui Ming and Xiao Wushuang if they had any objections. Aware that the attendees of this banquet were influential figures, Cui Ming didn't dare refuse and agreed. Knowing the situation was spiraling out of control, Shimu Bai didn't wait for the examination. He grabbed Xiao Wushuang's hand. "I'll give you one last chance," he said, his voice low and dangerous. "Tell me, did you frame Xia Xinghe?" Xiao Wushuang knew she had to confess. Protecting Cui Ming was her only hope for the future. Tears streamed down her face as she sobbed dramatically. "I'm sorry. I didn't want to do it. It was all because of Xia Xinghe. She stole all of Father's love. I just wanted to teach her a lesson." Xia Xinghe cut her off. "Father gave you more than enough love," she said coldly. "How did he die? And how did the Xia family's assets end up in your and your mother's hands? You know the answer to that." A wave of murmurs rippled through the room. Xiao Wushuang's confession had been shocking, but Xia Xinghe's words were a bombshell. The thought that Xiao Wushuang might be a murderer, not just a spiteful schemer, sent chills down their spines. The looks directed at her turned from surprise to suspicion and disgust. Xiao Wushuang cried out, protesting her innocence, claiming she wasn't a killer. The two police officers hesitated no longer and took her away. Cui Ming glared at Xia Xinghe, his eyes filled with venomous hatred. From this moment on, their feud was to the death. His research had been stolen by a friend, and he had been falsely accused and imprisoned. He thought that was the lowest point of his life. But then his sister was assaulted by the same man and driven to madness. After his release, Xiao Mo had thought of revenge. But his enemy's power had grown, and he could only hide with his sister, constantly on the move. Unable to work, he couldn't even pay the rent. When the landlord came knocking again, he could only offer a humble apology. But instead of understanding, he received only insults. When he heard them call his sister a lunatic, he angrily defended her. But they only intensified their cruel taunts. To keep himself and his sister off the streets, he endured their abuse. But his forbearance only emboldened them, the man's words growing increasingly vile. As he angrily rebuked them, a scream suddenly echoed from inside the room. Xiao Mo rushed inside, but the landlords pushed past him. Seeing the young woman cowering in the corner, the landlord immediately thought of forcing her to work off the debt. Xiao Mo yelled at them not to touch his sister, but the male landlord shoved him to the ground, while the female landlord grabbed the young woman's hair and started dragging her out. Hearing his sister's terrified cries, Xiao Mo desperately pleaded with them to let her go. He wished for a miracle for someone to save them. Suddenly, a woman's voice rang out. "Stop, I'll pay his debt." He looked up and saw Xia Xinghe approaching. Xiao Mo couldn't believe his eyes. He stammered, You have a needle." Before he could finish, Xia Xinghe walked straight past him. Xiao Mo glared at the two landlords, his eyes blazing with a fierce green light. "The money's outside," he growled. "Get out." The two were instantly cowed by his intensity. When they saw the red Ferrari parked outside, they fell silent, fear gripping them. Inside the room, Xia Xinghe quietly watched the trembling girl. Xiao Mo draped a coat over his sister's shoulders. "Who are you?" he asked. "And why are you paying off my debt?" Xia Xinghe smiled. "What if I told you I'm helping you, so you can kill someone for me?" Xiao Mo's eyes widened in shock. He hadn't expected her to ask him to commit murder. Xia Xinghe held up a single finger. "One life," she said, "in exchange for your sister's lifelong security." She fell silent, watching him. Xiao Mo hesitated, lost in thought. "While the offer is generous," he began, "I don't believe I've reached a dead end, and I don't think this is the best choice for me." He knew that if he killed someone, he would pay with his own life. And who could guarantee his sister's well-being even then? Xia Xinghe had anticipated his response. "What if the person I want you to kill is Cui Ming?" she countered. Xiao Muntak Floza. The look in his eyes changed instantly. "What's your relationship with Cui Ming?" Xia Xinghe revealed her name and told him that, like him, she was Cui Ming's enemy. Xiao Mo, still wary, asked, "Why should I trust you?" 10 million, she replied. "I'll give you 10 million as a guarantee. Is that enough?" At the mention of that sum, Xiao Mo looked at his vacant-eyed sister. With that kind of money, her illness could be treated. He didn't hesitate any longer. As long as his sister was well, what did he have to fear? Xia Xinghe handed him her address. "Think it over," she said. "Once you accept, there's no going back. As long as my sister can get treatment," he declared, "my life is yours." Xiao Xinghe nodded, satisfied. Start tomorrow. Bring your sister and come find me at this address. Xiaoji, unaware of their conversation, saw the grim look on Xiao Mo's face and clapped him on the shoulder. Hey buddy, he said with a wink, working with us is a good thing. Let me tell you, there's plenty to go around when you're with my sis. Xiao Mo's reply was stiff. Is killing people a good thing? I doubt I'll even get the offerings meant for the dead. Xiao Xinghe suddenly seemed to remember something. Oh, one last thing, she said. The killing part was a lie. He was framed by a friend and sent to prison. And his sister, she continued, was driven to madness by that same man. He thought his hopes for revenge were lost and resigned himself to a miserable end. Xiao Xinghe had rekindled his desire for vengeance. Early the next morning, Xiao Mo brought his sister to Xiao Xinghe. After arranging a room for them, Xiao Xinghe told Xiao Mo to settle his sister in and then meet her in the basement. When a puzzled Xiao Mo pushed open the basement door, he was stunned by what he saw. The room was filled with an array of high-end computer equipment. Xiaoji greeted him enthusiastically. He then handed Xiao Mo a project plan called Project Yida and told him to read it. Xiao Mo finally realized that she wanted him for software development, but he couldn't understand why she'd chosen him. He didn't consider himself particularly skilled. Xiaoji disagreed. Xiao Mo, you're the creator of the King Kong antivirus software, he pointed out. Your skills are beyond those of the average programmer. Xiao Mo felt he'd wasted too many years and had been left behind by the times. Xiao Xinghe spoke up. Whether you have the skills or not, we'll find out by trying. And the reason I chose you is twofold. I see your potential, and I need someone who dares to stand against Shui Ming. Xiao Mo was confused. You plan to use this software to defeat Shui Ming. Xiao Xinghe emphasized each word. Not defeat, destroy. Xiao Mo thought it impossible. He knew King Kong antivirus was no longer the version he'd developed. Xiao Xinghe held up a finger. I'll give you 5 days. Xiao Mo stared at her in disbelief, wondering if she knew anything about computers. Xiao Xinghe continued, just one revolutionary innovation, and the Chui Corporation will crumble. I could do it myself, but I have other matters to attend to. So I'll leave this to you and Xiaoji. Xiao muss Emotionen sorget. He knew developing and testing software in 5 days was a fantasy. Do you even understand computers? He demanded. Xiao Xinghe didn't respond, simply telling Xiao Mo to focus on the assigned tasks for the next 5 days. She would pave the way. As Xiao Xinghe's fingers flew across the keyboard, the wall-mounted monitors flickered to life, displaying lines of code being written at incredible speed. Xiao Montag stot frozen, speechless. Xiao Mo stared at the screen in disbelief. He couldn't believe it could be 100% accurate, but after scrutinizing it for a long time, he couldn't find a single error. It was more precise than a machine. Not only that, but Xiao Xinghe could even predict when a computer program would finish testing. Xiao Mo gaped at her, practically dumbfounded, as if she were some kind of monster. The morning flew by. After reviewing the data, Xiao Mo wasn't sure what he was capable of. Xiao Xinghe came up behind him and said, the initial software development is complete. Come and test it, then we'll proceed with further upgrades. Xiao Mo wore an incredulous expression. A complete software program in a single morning? It had taken him a full 6 months to achieve the same. This was beyond human capability. As the two discussed whether or not Xiao Xinghe had been possessed by an alien, Xiao Xinghe walked up to them, a cheerful smile on her face. The hacking competition is in 4.5 days, she announced. The countdown begins now. The annual hacking competition is the nation's most authoritative antivirus testing event. The participants are all powerful, established companies. Although Xiao Xinghe had developed the software in just a few days, both Xiao Mo and Xiaoji had complete faith in her. They were just about to leave when several police officers approached them. They said someone had filed a lawsuit against Xiao Xinghe for defamation and demanded she go to the police station immediately for questioning. Xiaoji was bewildered and asked if there had been a mistake. The police explained that Shui Corporation was suing her for defamation and slander against the mother and daughter, which had caused their stock prices to plummet. If Xiao Xinghe couldn't provide evidence, she would be held responsible for Shui Corp's losses. Xiao Xinghe hadn't expected them to resort to such flimsy accusations after their underhanded revenge tactics had failed, and they chose to do it on the day of the hacking competition, no less. As Xiaoji angrily retorted, Xiao Xinghe stopped him, telling them to go to the competition as planned. She would go with the police. watching the police car drive away. Xiaji slammed his fist on the steering wheel in frustration. He knew Cui Ming must have bribed the police. Once his sister was in, she'd never get out. Suddenly, an idea struck him. He immediately started the car. He didn't want to go to that person, but right now, he was their only hope, and he would likely be at the competition today as well. At the competition venue, they decided to split up. Xiao Mo would go to the testing center, and Xiaji would find someone to help Xia Xinghe. However, as Xiao Mo walked toward the testing center, he bumped into Cui Ming and his entourage. Cui Ming recognized him instantly. The murderous intent in Xiao Mo's eyes was undisguised. Cui Ming gave him a cold, disdainful smile. Well, long time no see, Xiao Mo. Xiao Mo suppressed his long simmering hatred. Yes, long time no see. I'm surprised someone as unscrupulous as you is still alive. Cui Ming eyed him darkly, wondering what this fool was doing here. Suddenly, he barked, "Grab that thief." Before Xiao Mo could react, Cui Ming's bodyguards tackled him to the ground. The hard drive he was carrying flew from his grasp. Xiao Mo's face paled. He struggled violently, trying to retrieve it, but just as his fingers brushed against it, Cui Ming's polished shoe came down hard on the device. He watched Xiao Mo's reaction closely. Looking down at him, he said coldly, "Seeing how anxious you are, it must be something important. Let me guess what it is." He picked up the hard drive. "Software, is it?" Xiao Mo thrashed and yelled, "Give it back to me." But the more frantic he became, the more Cui Ming reveled in his despair. He glared down at Xiao Mo. "Yours? This is clearly mine. You steal from me and then claim it's yours." A bone-chilling hatred burned in Xiao Mo's eyes. Cui Ming had used those same words years ago, after stealing his software and landing him in prison. And now, his hope was in Cui Ming's hands again. Was history about to repeat itself? He couldn't let that happen. Xiao Mo's eyes were bloodshot. "Cui Ming," he pleaded, I beg you, give it back to me. You have everything. You took everything from me. You can't take this too. Please give it back." Cui Ming was taken aback. He hadn't expected such a proud man to beg. He burst into triumphant laughter. "Did I hear that right? Xiao Mo, are you begging me? It seems this thing is really important to you. Important enough to make you beg." Xiao Mo gritted his teeth, self-deprecating. "I'm not the same Xiao Mo anymore. Begging you to survive is nothing." Cui Ming, believing his excuse, looked down at him condescendingly. "If you want me to give it back," he sneered, "kowtow to me. Then I'll return it." The moment Xia Xinghe was taken away by the police, Xiaji could only think of one person who could save her wealthy brother-in-law. She found Shi Mu Bai and nervously explained the situation. Upon hearing that Xia Xinghe was in trouble, Shi Mu Bai's heart clenched. What had happened to Xia Xinghe? Xiaji recounted the events leading up to the arrest. Shi Mu Bai suddenly asked if Xia Xinghe had sent her. Hearing Xiaji's denial, his expression remained impassive. "Finished?" he asked. Seeing his reaction, Xiaji's hope plummeted. He hadn't indicated whether he would help. He hadn't asked any further questions either. It seemed he didn't want to get involved. Apologizing for the disturbance, Xiaji turned to leave, abandoning her pleas. She didn't know that. The moment she left, Shi Mu Bai instructed his lawyer to go to the police station. He ordered him to get Xia Xinghe out, no matter the cost. Xia Xinghe had just been brought into the interrogation room when Wu Rong and her daughter walked in. Xiao Wushuang mocked her, relishing her downfall. "Look who's in trouble now," she gloated. "You dare to frame me with false accusations. Not only did nothing happen to me, but now you'll pay the price for your lies." Xia Xinghe looked at her with disdain. "Tell me," she challenged, "what price will I pay?" Xiao Wushuang's voice dripped with malice. "The price of regret. The price of a life worse than death." The lawyer beside them, Niu Hong Hong, chimed in smugly. "Because of your false accusations, Chui Corp has suffered severe damage to its reputation. You face a minimum sentence of 1 year and are liable for 20 million in damages." Xiao Wushuang, brimming with triumph, believed her little scheme had effectively trapped Xia Xinghe. "If you kneel and beg," she offered, "I might consider lessening the consequences." Xia Xinghe stared at her with contempt. "Beg you? You're not worthy." Xiao Wushuang's face contorted with rage. Wu Rong, however, reacted instantly, raising her hand to strike Xia Xinghe. But Xia Xinghe, having trained in self-defense, kicked her away. Xiao Wushuang's eyes flashed with venom. "Make her kneel!" she shrieked. Someone kicked the back of Xia Xinghe's knees. The pain made her buckle, but she refused to kneel. Xiao Wushuang grabbed a police baton and swung it at Xia Xinghe's head, intent on destroying her. The scene shifted to the hacking competition. Chui Ming watched the proceedings leisurely. So far, only his software and one other remained unbreached. The ex-guardian, represented by Xiao Mo, Chui Ming's eyes narrowed as he watched Xiao Mo compete. He remembered Xiao Mo kneeling before him, begging for the hard drive back. At the time, he hadn't believed Xiao Mo capable of creating anything significant, so he'd magnanimously returned it. He hadn't realized he was creating a problem for himself. Still, he remained confident. He turned to his assistant and gave a brief instruction. Soon, the competition resumed, and Chui Corp's representative, a man in a tracksuit, took the stage. Shimu Bai watched the competition from a private room. They all recognized that Chui Ming was getting restless. Someone beside him, familiar with Chui Ming, recounted the history between him and Xiao Mo. Shimu Bai suddenly noticed Xia Ji at the competition. He hadn't realized she knew Xiao Mo. Xia Ji and Xiao Mo were frantic. Chui Corp's new representative had breached their first line of defense almost immediately. Xiao Mo retaliated, striking back at their defenses. The Chui Corp representative hadn't expected ex-Guardian's defenses to be so robust. He saw it merely as a minor delay. Despite Xiao Mo's best efforts, he was a programmer, not a seasoned hacker. His opponent, on the other hand, was clearly in a different league, capable of outmatching any hacker in the competition. Xiao Mo and Xia Ji could only watch in despair. This woman was audacious enough to attempt murder in a police station, and her target was his sister. Just at that critical moment, a man appeared and stopped her. The police chief followed close behind. The man helped Xia Xinghe up, checking on her condition. Xia Wushuang finally recognized the newcomer as Chang'an. Could Shimu Bai be intervening on Xia Xinghe's behalf? Xia Xinghe calmed her expression, her composure chilling. Xia Wushuang immediately declared, "Chief, you've arrived just in time. Because of Xia Xinghe's slander, our Chui Corp has suffered heavy losses. You can't let her get away with this." Her words had barely left her lips when Xia Xinghe's hand flashed out, a resounding slap landing squarely on Xia Wushuang's face. Xia Wushuang stared at Xia Xinghe in disbelief. Her face contorted in a grotesque, furious grimace. She lunged forward, desperate to retaliate, but several officers restrained her, preventing her from reaching Xia Xinghe. Chang'an informed Xia Xinghe that she had been bailed out, entrusted by Shimu Bai. He would act as her legal counsel in this matter. Upon hearing this, Wu Rong shrieked, insisting that the matter couldn't just end like this. She knew that if they let Xia Xinghe go now, such an opportunity would be hard to come by again. She turned and yelled at the police chief, demanding he arrest Xia Xinghe. The chief inwardly sighed at the woman's lack of awareness, but explained that Xia Xinghe had already been bailed out and that they would make a decision after further investigation. Xia Wushuang continued her tirade, pointing at the chief and declaring, "If you don't arrest her, I'll sue you for police negligence." Chang'an suddenly spoke up. "As it happens, we will also be filing charges of assault against you and your mother. From this moment forward, I am Miss Xia Xinghe's defense attorney." Wu Rong furiously warned him not to interfere, threatening him with dire consequences. Chang'an's eyes glinted with a sharp light. "Very well," he said. "Regarding your deliberate threat to my personal safety, I will also pursue the relevant legal action." Wu Rong was about to unleash another torrent of abuse, but Xia Wushuang stopped her. She had a little more sense and realized the situation was turning against them. Gritting her teeth, she conceded, temporarily giving up. She pointed at Xia Xinghe with a sneer. "Consider yourself lucky today." Xia Xinghe, her fury at its peak, slowly approached Xia Wushuang, her voice ice cold. "If I don't bring you down today, tomorrow will be your last." At the hacking competition venue, ex-Guardian had already been breached through 2 layers of defense. Xia Ji and Xiao Mo had only managed to break through Chui Corp's first line of defense. Their opponent's skill far exceeded their expectations. Xia Ji knew that if this continued, they would undoubtedly lose. He couldn't stand it any longer and was about to go find Xia Xinghe. Xiao Mo quickly stopped him. Just as the two were pacing anxiously, the door burst open with a bang. Xia Xinghe walked straight into the arena. Ex-Guardian hasn't been completely breached yet. We still have time. Xiaoji's eyes widened in disbelief. He couldn't believe what he was seeing. Was he hallucinating? How could his sister suddenly appear? Cui Ming and Shi Mubai, also present, shared the same bewilderment. How could Xia Xinghe be here? With the situation urgent, Xia Xinghe offered no explanation. Instead, she asked Xia Ji to explain the situation. Learning that their opponent had broken through 2 layers of her defense in just 20 minutes, Xia Xinghe looked at the hacker with admiration. She thought to herself, he truly is talented. He was once a brilliant student, exceptionally gifted. She mused, but was wronged, lost his memory, and fell into poverty. Yet, a twist of fate has allowed him to regain his memories. The brilliance hidden within him is finally beginning to shine. Xia Xinghe, now in the arena, didn't immediately start the competition. She slowly raised her hand and suddenly pointed it directly at Cui Ming, who was sitting in the audience. In an instant, a sharp, commanding aura filled the room. Her gaze was icy as she spoke, each word precise and deliberate. Cui Ming, I'll show you what it means to reap what you sow. Ignoring the stunned expressions of everyone present, she sat down and began to work on the computer. Her actions were like a bomb dropped into a still lake. This woman, appearing out of nowhere, then audaciously challenging Cui Ming with those words, and now operating the computer. Could she be a hacker? However, no one held much hope for her. Cui Corp's software was notoriously difficult to crack. Cui Ming glared at Xia Xinghe, his teeth grinding, wishing he could tear her to shreds. Meanwhile, in another room, Shi Mubai was utterly stunned. Xia Xinghe knew computers? She was a hacker? He thought back to the recent rumors about a mysterious hacker. Could she be the infamous hacker 001 who had shaken the entire internet industry? Remembering that she had been a mathematics student at a world-renowned university, it wasn't difficult to understand how she could be proficient in computer science. He confidently predicted that Xia Xinghe would breach Cui Corp's defenses within 15 minutes. The person beside him looked at him with astonishment, but Shi Mubai remained certain. He believed that with her skills, 15 minutes was all she needed. By this point, Xia Xinghe had already breached 2 of Cui Corp's defense lines. The total time elapsed was less than 10 minutes. The hacker for hire, inwardly impressed, stopped hiding his true abilities and began to fight in earnest. Xia Xinghe, her gaze fixed on the computer screen, calmly remarked, "Finally taking me seriously?" Cui Ming, his patience worn thin, slammed his fist on the table. He couldn't bear the thought of anyone besting him. He called his assistant over and issued a few curt instructions. After listening to his orders, the assistant silently left the room. The competition on stage had reached a fever pitch. BT was starting to look nervous. He knew that if this continued, he was likely to lose. But he was also exhilarated to have encountered such a formidable opponent. Shi Mubai, surprisingly, was also showing signs of tension. His gaze remained locked on Xia Xinghe. He couldn't explain it. She wasn't as meticulously dressed as the other day, yet she seemed even more captivating, radiating a brilliant aura. Suddenly, Xiaji rushed to Xia Xinghe's side, speaking urgently. Xia Xinghe abruptly stood. Xiaji, his face flushed with anger, exclaimed, "Dad's been kidnapped. They said if you don't stop the competition, they'll kill him. It has to be Cui Ming." Xia Xinghe's eyes turned icy as she stared at Cui Ming. The audience below watched her reaction with astonishment. Shi Mubai and the others, suspecting Cui Ming's involvement, immediately dispatched someone to investigate. Xia Xinghe, however, sat back down, her focus returning to the competition. Cui Ming was taken aback that she seemed unfazed by the threat. In truth, Xia Xinghe had already deduced that the kidnapping was a hoax. Xia Ji, too, realized the impossibility of arranging a kidnapping in the mere 15 minutes since she'd taken the stage. Both of them scoffed at Cui Ming's cheap and pathetic tactics. Free of worry, Xia Xinghe went on full offense. She breached the final line of defense in just 7 minutes. Xia Xinghe walked towards Cui Ming, her gaze filled with disdain. Her lips curved slightly as she uttered, "Cui Ming, you've lost." He had thrived by stealing the fruits of others' labor. But now, thanks to his wife's machinations, he was facing retribution. A man who took pleasure in tormenting others was finally paying the price for his actions. Although the competition was over, the final test results were still pending. Xia Xinghe, with undisguised mockery, continued, "You dare to compare your stolen software to ours? Your face is thicker than a city wall." Humiliated, Cui Ming immediately ordered his men to teach her a lesson. But Shi Mubai suddenly appeared behind them. Seeing him, Cui Ming hesitated. Xia Xing has suddenly addressed him. Do you dare to make a bet with me? When the results come out, if you lose, I want you to kneel down in front of everyone, kowtow 3 times, and shout I've lost 3 times. Cui Ming paled, but with so many eyes on him, he couldn't refuse. Besides, he didn't believe he could lose to a woman. The test results were soon announced. As everyone waited with bated breath, the host slowly revealed the outcome. Without a doubt, Xia Xinghe had triumphed. Cui Ming stared at the screen in disbelief. He couldn't fathom being defeated by a newly developed software. Beside him, Tang Jun gloated. In the attack test, X-Guardian had a 100% pass rate, while yours only reached 95%. Cui Ming, refusing to accept the results, roared for a retest. Xiao Mo spoke up. The testing center undoubtedly ran multiple tests. Just admit defeat. Xia Ji timely reminded him of his wager. Tang Jun, ever the instigator, added fuel to the fire by feigning ignorance and bringing up the stolen software incident. Cui Ming felt the world spinning. He never imagined he'd see this day. Xia Xinghe's voice rang out, cool and clear. CEO Cui, do you have the guts to honor your bet? Cui Ming stared blankly at her. He finally understood the humiliation Xiao Mo had felt when he'd been forced to kneel. As he hesitated, a foot suddenly connected with the back of his knees. Brought to his knees, Cui Ming understood that this single incident would severely damage Cui Corp's reputation and his own standing. If he reneged now, his credibility would plummet. He roared Xia Xinghe's name in fury. Xia Xinghe simply told him to speak up. Cui Ming's face was a mask of misery. He finally choked out the humiliating words, I'm defeated 3 times. Standing up, he swore he wouldn't let Xia Xinghe get away with this. Suddenly, his eyes landed on a nearby chair. He grabbed it and swung it at Xia Xinghe. Caught completely off guard, Xia Xinghe froze. Shi Mubai reacted swiftly, pulling her aside just as the chair slammed down. Looking at Xia Xinghe, who seemed remarkably unafraid, a strange feeling flickered through Shi Mubai's heart. Seeing that Xia Xinghe was unharmed, she made to leave, but Shi Mubai stopped her. In the quiet of the Shushika, they sat facing each other. Shi Mubai produced a contract and presented it to Xia Xinghe. Xia Xinghe stated her single condition, a 30-70 split of any profits from their collaboration, with 70% going to Shi Mubai. Shi Mubai looked puzzled. Xia Xinghe explained calmly, it's a thank you for saving me just now. A shadow crossed Shi Mubai's face. No need for thanks, he said. After all, you're Shaolin's mother. Xia Xinghe's voice turned cold. No need. We're divorced. We have no relationship. He, living a life of carefree debauchery, untouched by consequence, now faced ruin, dragged down by his wife's actions. The loss of his dignity, the plummeting stock prices, left him utterly destitute overnight. Haggard, he returned home to find the woman who had caused his downfall. Rage consumed him. He grabbed her throat, his voice a chilling whisper. If it weren't for you, I, Cui Ming, wouldn't be in this situation. Xiao Wushuang stared at him, uncomprehending. Cui Ming flung her to the floor. Xia Xinghe's enemy is you, isn't it? It's because of you, this venomous viper, that she came after me. Cui Corp is finished. Xiao Wushuang gasped for breath, demanding to know what had happened. A newspaper slammed against her face, accompanied by Cui Ming's furious roar. See for yourself. Her eyes widened in disbelief as she saw the headline. Cui Corp's stock in freefall. Xiao Wushuang's eyes widened in horror. Cui Ming's face was a mask of fury. Xia Xinghe, you brought this on yourself. You fix this, or you'll be buried with Cui Corp. A venomous glint flashed in Xiao Wushuang's eyes. Xia Xinghe, this is what you've driven us to. She quickly relayed the events to Wu Rong, who was equally stunned. She hadn't realized the recovered Xia Xinghe was so formidable. She knew that if she didn't eliminate Xia Xinghe, she would be the one eliminated. It's time for Black Scar, she murmured, a sinister edge to her voice. Tonight is that bitch's last night. Meanwhile, back at the studio, Xia Ji and the others were monitoring Cui Corp stock. They were surprised by the speed of its decline. Since they'd signed with Shi Mubai, Cui Corp's fate had been sealed. Xia Xinghe, however, felt a prickle of unease. While Cui Ming was arrogant, she didn't think he'd crumble this quickly. He wouldn't go down without a fight. He'd do something to salvage the situation, and the best time to act would be today. She suspected they would see some kind of move from him before the day was out. The phone rang. Seeing the number, She paused. It was him. She answered, asking directly, "What is it?" Shi Mubai didn't waste time. His voice was low. "Cui Ming won't let you go today. Be prepared. I'll send some men over for protection." "For will be enough," she replied. "I'll cover the cost." Shi Mubai had expected a refusal. He raised an eyebrow as he hung up. The woman wasn't foolish after all. Xiaji looked at her curiously, wondering who had called. Xiaoxing's expression turned serious. "Get ready," she said. "We have a fight on our hands tonight." Darkness fell quickly. Two figures in black approached Xiaoxing's home. The villa's gates swung open silently. They slipped into the living room, their movements like shadows. Suddenly, a faint scratching sound broke the silence. Someone struck a match. The flickering flame illuminated her face. Her dark, brilliant eyes stared directly at them. Caught in her gaze, the two intruders froze. They exchanged a quick glance, then lunged towards Xiaoxinghe. With a sharp puff, Xiaoxinghe extinguished the match. Plunged into darkness, the two men stumbled. In that brief moment of disorientation, hidden in the shadows, Xiaji swiftly and efficiently knocked them unconscious. As the firelight flared, the two unconscious figures were already bound. Xiaoxinghe nodded in satisfaction. "Take them downstairs. Don't disturb the guests who will be arriving shortly." After the bodyguards dragged the two away, Xiaoxinghe settled back onto the sofa and picked up a book, casually flipping through the pages. Knowing someone was out to kill her, she felt not fear, but anticipation. She planned to use this opportunity to draw out the mastermind and eliminate them completely. Xiaoxinghe sat in the living room, leisurely reading. Outside the window, a pair of malicious eyes watched her. Soon, the door opened again, and a man swaggered in. Without looking up, Xiaoxinghe asked, "Is that you, Xiaji?" The man chuckled softly. Xiaoxinghe abruptly turned, her gaze fixed on him. "It's you." The man seemed surprised she recognized him. Xiaoxinghe tensed. "You're the one who ran me down 6 years ago. I'll never forget that face. And since you've been seen, you won't be leaving." Remaining motionless, Xiaoxinghe asked, "Why are you trying to kill me? Did Wu Rong send you?" The man didn't answer, instead raising a club menacingly. Xiaoxinghe pressed him, her voice filled with anger. "Since I'm about to die, why not let me die knowing? Was it Wu Rong who tried to kill me 6 years ago? And is it him now? So what if it was?" The man replied, bringing the club down towards her. With a swift kick, Xiaoxinghe overturned the bamboo table. While his vision was obscured, she delivered a fatal blow. In the basement, a bucket of water was unceremoniously splashed onto the man's face. He came to, glaring venomously at Xiaoxinghe, who sat opposite him. "You bitch. Even if I die, He Laosan won't talk." Shout Emo slapped him hard across the face. "Who do you think you are? Watch your mouth." He Laosan shot Xiao Imo a sinister look and let out a harsh laugh. Xia Ji, unable to contain her anger, kicked him. He Laosan remained defiant. "Go ahead and kill me then." Xiaoxinghe told them there was no need for violence. She had recorded their earlier conversation. He Laosan sneered. "I can change my story anytime. You think a little recording is enough for evidence?" Xiao Mo was puzzled. "What did Wu Rong offer you to stay so silent?" Xiaoxinghe's voice cut through the tension. "He's not talking because he believes Xiao Wushuang is his daughter." Xiao Mo and Xia Ji stared at her in shock. He Laosan also looked at her, stunned. Xiaoxinghe turned her laptop to face them. Zhao Long, also known as He Laosan, is from Shiren County, just like Wu Rong. 25 years ago, they both worked at the same factory. But Wu Rong left in county 2 years later. Zhao Long arrived 10 years ago. A large sum of money has been deposited into his account every year. He then went to the hospital for a paternity test. He Laosan, am I right? He Laosan was shocked that she knew so much about him. Xiaji laughed. "So that's how it is. Like father, like daughter. A whole family of rotten people." He Laosan roared in fury. "Don't you dare insult my daughter." Xiaoxinghe suddenly said, "Are you sure she's yours?" When you had the paternity test, Wu Rong secretly transferred 1 million to the doctor. You know what that means, don't you? He Laosan vehemently denied it. "Impossible. You're trying to trick me. I won't fall for it." Xiaoxinghe stood up. "Whether it's true or not, let's go ask Wu Rong. He's been a father for 20 years, only to find out his daughter isn't his. And he became a murderer for that woman. Ironically, the person who told him all this was the one he tried to kill twice." To confirm her suspicions, Xiaoxinghe took them to Wu Rong's residence. Wu Rong and his daughter were waiting for news from He Laosan. Xiao Wushuang was worried that he might fail and betray them. Wu Rong confidently reassured her. "Even if He Laosan dies, he won't give us up." Just then, the doorbell rang. Wu Rong looked through the peephole and saw Xia Xinghe. His face paled, and he stumbled back. Xiao Wushuang asked him what was wrong. Wu Rong trembled, stammering it was Xia Xinghe. Panic seized Xiao Wushuang. Could He Laosan have failed? Wu Rong quickly regained her composure. Don't panic. Even if he failed, he won't betray us. Xiao Wushuang didn't understand her certainty. Wu Rong gripped her hand, her voice low, because he still believes you're his daughter. Xiao Wushuang's eyes widened in disbelief. Wu Rong opened the door to reveal Yi Tiao Feng, his expression grim. Xia Xinghe, what are you doing here? Do you really not know why I'm here? Xia Xinghe retorted. Then, before Wu Rong could react, she slammed her weight against the door. With a swift kick, she splintered the door open, sending mother and daughter tumbling to the floor. Wu Rong urged Xiao Wushuang to call the police. Xia Xinghe's voice dripped with ice. Call the police? To arrest yourselves? Wu Rong's face paled. What do you mean? Xia Xinghe leaned casually against the doorframe. It's simple. Your attempted murder has been exposed. He Laosan has confessed everything. He's admitted that you orchestrated it all. Impossible. I don't even know He Laosan. Xia Xinghe advanced slowly, and Wu Rong instinctively recoiled. Did you think he died before betraying you? Too bad. He knows you've been lying to him. Xiao Wushuang isn't his daughter. Wu Rong's mind reeled as if something had exploded. Xia Xinghe's voice continued, relentless. Are you wondering how he found out the truth? I helped him uncover the bribery, the forged documents. Wu Rong and Xiao Wushuang stood frozen, their faces ashen. Xiao Wushuang isn't He Laosan's daughter. Xia Xinghe pressed. Why deceive him? Meanwhile, in a nearby car, He Laosan watched the scene unfold on a monitor. Wu Rong spat. That scum. As if I'd have a child with him. I merely used him to deal with those who displeased me. And now, the only one left to kill is you. Before the words had fully left her lips, Wu Rong snatched a fruit knife and lunged at Xia Xinghe with savage fury. In the car, Xiao Mo gasped, startled by the sudden violence. Xia Xinghe, caught off guard by the sudden attack, narrowly avoided the blade. She seized Wu Rong's wrist, twisting it sharply and forcing her to the ground. Xiao Wushuang screamed and reached for the knife, but her hand froze on the hilt. No, she thought, my life is just beginning. I can't ruin it like this. Slowly, she withdrew her hand. Xia Xinghe looked down at her. Why aren't you killing me? Haven't you and your mother been plotting my demise? Why this sudden hesitation? Xiao Wushuang feigned ignorance. So this was all Wu Rong's scheme? Nothing to do with you. Xiao Wushuang cried out, yes. It has nothing to do with me. I didn't know anything. She had entrusted her inheritance to her husband, but he had promptly absconded with the money. While she waited foolishly for him to return so they could flee together, what she received instead was the crushing impact of an oncoming truck. After Wu Rong's arrest, Xiao Wushuang's only remaining leverage was Cui Ming. But when she returned home, she found the house in disarray, with Cui Ming alone at the bar, drinking heavily. Cui Ming slurred. Did you get rid of Xia Xinghe? Xiao Wushuang dejectedly recounted the events. She pleaded with Cui Ming to help her eliminate Xia Xinghe, fearing she would lose everything. Cui Ming shook his head. I can't help you. I am bankrupt. Xiao Wushuang stared at him in disbelief. You're bankrupt. Cui Ming urged her to flee. I can't help you anymore. Xiao Wushuang clutched his hand. I still have money. The 10 billion inheritance. It's mine. We can escape together. Tears welled in Cui Ming's eyes, touched by her apparent loyalty. But Xiao Wushuang didn't notice the sinister smirk that played on his lips. Wushuang, trust me, the money will be safer in my account. We'll start over overseas. Xiao Wushuang knew that if she refused, the police would seize the inheritance, leaving her with nothing. She agreed. Cui Ming told Xiao Wushuang to meet him at the airport, claiming he had to take care of something related to Xia Xinghe. Unsuspecting, Xiao Wushuang followed his instructions. Suddenly, blinding headlights seared her vision. A large truck barreled towards her. After letting out a terrified scream, Xiao Wushuang was struck, covered in blood, her fate unknown. Meanwhile, Cui Ming, having deceived Xiao Wushuang, gathered his belongings and was about to leave when he saw Xiao Mo waiting outside the door with 2 bodyguards. Xiao Mo grabbed Cui Ming by the collar and, without a word, punched him in the face. At the cafe, Xia Xinghe and Xia Ji, waiting for Xiao Mo to take Cui Ming to the police station, received news that he had been seriously injured. The two quickly left the cafe and were heading towards their parked car, when a truck suddenly rushed out, heading straight for them. Xia Xinghe sensed the danger immediately. With a leap, she narrowly avoided the vehicle, scraping against its side, but the force of the near miss sent her tumbling to the ground. The truck didn't stop. It made a sharp turn and relentlessly charged toward its target again. Just as it seemed Xia Xinghe would be crushed beneath the wheels, a car suddenly darted out. It slammed into the truck. Xia Xinghe, forcing her eyes open, was astonished to see that her rescuer was Shimu Bai. Then, darkness consumed her. Shimu Bai wasn't seriously hurt, just some scrapes and bleeding. Xia Xinghe was unharmed, only unconscious. Shimu Bai went to another room to tend to his wounds. Xiaji sat by Xia Xinghe's bedside. In her sleep, she was restless, sweat beading on her forehead. Xia Xinghe was dreaming of a scene from 25 years ago, a memory of her mother leaving when she was young. Xinghe, Mama is leaving. You have to take care of yourself and study computers well. Maybe we'll meet again someday. Little Xinghe asked anxiously, Mama, where are you going? I want to go too. Her mother smiled lovingly. A very faraway place. Only you can find me. With that, she slowly vanished. Little Xinghe cried out desperately, Don't go, but received no reply. Lying in a hospital bed, Xia Xinghe's eyes snapped open. Mama, she murmured, staring blankly at the ceiling. She wondered why she'd suddenly dreamt of her mother. And what did the words in her dream mean? As Xia Xinghe awoke, she saw Shimu Bai. They both froze, surprised to see each other. Shimu Bai explained he was about to be discharged and decided to check on her. Xia Xinghe thanked him for his help these past few times. Shimu Bai straightened. It's what I should do. After all, you're Xiaolin's mother. Hearing Xiaolin's name, Xia Xinghe remembered him calling her Mama. She thought about how Shimu Bai was a good father, but he was about to get married and would have new children. She decided to discuss something with him. Just as she was figuring out how to begin, Chu Tianxing appeared out of nowhere, casually looping her arm through Shimu Bai's. As if not noticing Xia Xinghe, she chattered away. Shimu Bai, seemingly ignoring Chu Tianxing, looked at Xia Xinghe. What did you want to discuss? Xia Xinghe decided against it. Shimu Bai glanced at Chu Tianxing. Wait outside for me. Chu Tianxing bolinket ino senti. Is there something I can't hear? Shimu Bai didn't answer, just gave her a cold look. Chu Tianxing immediately left with a smile. The moment the door closed, her expression twisted. She pulled out her phone, furiously typing. Moments later, Shimu Bai emerged. Chu Tianxing hadn't expected him so soon. He brushed past her and strode away. Even after Chu Tianxing left, Xia Xinghe still didn't say anything. She felt the timing wasn't right. Shimu Bai didn't press her. Shortly after Shimu Bai left, several police officers arrived. Xia Wushuang had accused Xia Xinghe of trying to kill her, so they came to question her. Xiaji angrily retorted, How can my sister try to kill her? It was clearly Cui Ming. The police explained wearily that they also suspected Cui Ming, but the driver wouldn't confess, and Xia Wushuang insisted Xia Xinghe was the mastermind. Hearing this, Xia Xinghe cooperated fully. Ask away, she said. The police left shortly after asking a few questions. Xia Ji was still fuming about Xia Wushuang's recklessness. Xia Xinghe got straight out of bed. She told him she was going to see Xia Wushuang. In the hospital room, Xia Xinghe looked at Xia Wushuang, wrapped in bandages. Xia Wushuang's eyes held a venomous glare, fixed on Xia Xinghe. Xia Xinghe chuckled. Surprise, you're actually still alive. Xia Wushuang's emotions surged. She furiously cursed Xia Xinghe, consumed with a desire to tear her to pieces. Xia Xinghe's face hardened as she leaned closer. Do you really think I'm the one who did this to you? Cui Ming used you to kill me, Xia Xinghe continued, to achieve his plan of killing two birds with one stone. Xia Wushuang roared, Lies. Don't you dare try to deceive me. You're the one who tried to kill me. Seeing her continued self-deception, Xia Xinghe explained, Cui Ming knew you would send someone to eliminate me, so he secretly set a trap. His men knocked us unconscious. When He Laosan arrived, they killed his men and framed me for it. He also left clues for the police, Xia Xinghe added, so they would trace He Laosan back to you and your mother. But that's not the point. The point is, your inheritance will fall into his hands. Isn't it a brilliant plan? Xia Wushuang thought about Cui Ming's words, his promises. She was so stunned she forgot to breathe. Xia Xinghe's words were like a knife, piercing her heart. Suddenly, she erupted with a burst of strength, lunging for Xia Xinghe's throat. Xia Xinghe easily sidestepped the attack. Ignoring her splitting wounds, Xiao Wushuang roared, refusing to believe her. Then, a terrifying, breathless laugh escaped her lips as she crawled towards Xia Xinghe. Xia Ji then told Xia Xinghe that Xiao Wushuang's lower body was paralyzed. Why do people dream? In Freud's interpretation of dreams, it said that when your consciousness is in a state of sleep or rest, your subconscious awakens, producing images that allow you to glimpse your deepest self. Essentially, your dreams reflect your inner worries and fears and can even offer warnings. Ever since leaving the hospital, Xia Xinghe had been having nightmares. Two, in fact. In one, she died in the hospital. She lay in bed for a long time before dying, seemingly tormented by illness. The other dream was about Xiao Imo. Chu Tianxing had given birth to Shi Mubai's son, and the whole family revolved around the baby. Lonely and neglected, Xiao Imo eventually ran away from home. Tragically, he was targeted by Shi Mubai's enemies. His helpless cries were heartbreaking, but the killer mercilessly murdered him. Xia Xinghe always woke up at this point in the dream. Having the same nightmares for 4 days straight felt too strange and unsettling. When Xia Ji found out, he suggested she go to the hospital for a checkup. After some thought, Xia Xinghe agreed. The following day at 5 p.m., Xia Xinghe invited Shi Mubai to meet her. Thinking about the nightmare concerning Xiao Imo, she didn't want to delay any longer. She needed to bring Xiao Imo to her side as soon as possible. Her test results had come back. She had a brain tumor. It was likely malignant, and the success rate of surgery was only 5%, a grim prognosis. The dream mirroring her own illness didn't frighten her. But Xiao Imo, as Shi Mubai sat down, Xia Xinghe looked directly at him. I want custody of our child. Shi Mubai was taken aback. You want the child? Xia Xinghe nodded, her gaze unwavering. I'm capable of raising him now, of giving him the best life. And I won't be remarrying, so I'm asking you to let me have custody. Shi Mubai countered. So this is what you want to talk about? Yes, Xia Xinghe replied. I hope you'll agree. Xiao Imo is my only child. Shi Mubai set down his coffee. His voice was low. He's grown up with me. Have you considered how he might feel about suddenly being taken away? Xia Xinghe nodded. I know, but you and Chu Tianxing are getting married soon. You'll have other children. I only have him. Shi Mubai suddenly asked, if you cared so much, why did you agree to the divorce in the first place? At his words, Xia Xinghe slowly lowered her head, her voice filled with a quiet sadness. Because you didn't love me. Hearing his response, Shi Mubai was momentarily stunned. In this polite but distant marriage, Xia Xinghe felt no sense of belonging. The Shi family ostracized her, and Shi Mubai was too busy to truly care for her. In those less than 3 years, she'd been close to suicide several times due to depression. Xia Xinghe murmured, this loveless marriage, from the very beginning, was never blessed. Two strangers forced together. It was torture for both of us, wasn't it? But you should know very well that the child can only grow up in the Shi family. Xia Xinghe gripped her cup tightly. Whatever conditions you propose, I'll agree to them. I can develop more software for you. Shi Mubai said frankly, actually, you and I are the same kind of people. Our worlds have higher pursuits. We don't care about feelings at all. So you didn't care who you married, and I didn't care who I married. But back then, I hadn't recovered my memories. I was helpless. Without my memories to anchor me, I couldn't cope. But you could. I thought even if the sky fell, it wouldn't affect you. So even without Xiao Mo, you would still live well. But I can't do that. I can't live without Xiao Mo. Let me take care of him for 5 years. Is that okay? Xia Xinghe stared intently at Shi Mubai. Was it how he saw her? Indifferent to everything, yet the child was his too. Losing the child couldn't possibly leave him unmoved. Shi Mubai firmly refused. Under no circumstances can you have the child, unless you're still my wife. The thought flashed through his mind, and Shi Mubai unconsciously straightened. Xia Xinghe's face turned cold. I'm the child's mother. I just want to take care of him for a few years. Is that not allowed? She thought that if she hadn't had that dream, she would have waited until she was strong enough to fight. But there was no time. She had to change Xiao Mo's fate while she was still alive. Xia Xinghe stood up abruptly. No matter what, I won't give up on my child. With that, she turned and left. Shi Mubai stared at her retreating figure, thinking, Xinghe, even if I agreed. He suddenly had assets worth 10 billion, yet he couldn't feel any joy. It was all because he had to wrest his child away from his incredibly wealthy ex-husband. And her own money, compared to his, was a mere drop in the ocean. Although she couldn't compete with him now, she had to do something for her son. So she arranged for Xiaji to monitor the Shi family's movements. When Xiaji saw Shi Mubai's car enter the Shi family estate, he immediately informed Xia Xinghe. As a smartly dressed Xia Xinghe stepped out of her bedroom, Xiaji couldn't help but compliment her. Seeing the effect was satisfactory, Xia Xinghe smiled contentedly. Xiaji asked her why she had to wait for Shi Mubai's return before going over. Xia Xinghe chuckled softly and explained how her plan could only be implemented with him present. At the Shi residence, Xia Xinghe's car slowly came to a stop. She stepped out, poised in her high heels, and calmly rang the doorbell. Meanwhile, Shi Mubai and Chu Tianxing also received news of her arrival. Shi Mubai paused, unsure of her purpose. Soon, Xia Xinghe entered. Her simple attire couldn't hide her elegant beauty. Seeing her, a flicker of intense emotion crossed Chu Tianxing's eyes. Shi Mubai's mother sneered sarcastically at Xia Xinghe. Do you think my Shi family home is a place you can come and go as you please? Women from humble beginnings just don't understand the rules. Xia Xinghe didn't show any sign of anger. She simply stated that she was here to see her son. Shi Mubai's mother haughtily replied, "You want to see my grandson? Who do you think you are?" Xia Xinghe retorted directly, "Xiao Mo's biological mother. Isn't that title enough?" Shi Mubai's mother immediately scoffed. This biological mother abandoned her son for years without a care. It was Tianxing who took care of Xiao Mo all these years. Shouldn't you be thanking her? Xia Xinghe replied calmly. "Isn't that exactly what you wanted, madam?" At that moment, Shi Mubai happened to be passing by and overheard their conversation. He instinctively stopped, his brow furrowing slightly. Xia Xinghe, hearing the faint sound of approaching footsteps, knew it was Shi Mubai outside the door. Shi Mubai's mother and Chu Tianxing, however, didn't hear him. They were focused on berating Xia Xinghe. Shi Mubai's mother angrily demanded that Xia Xinghe explain herself. Xia Xinghe spoke coolly. "Since you insist, then I'll be blunt. Madam, you intended to drive me out of the Shi family from the very beginning, to sever my relationship with my child. Am I right?" Shi Mubai was startled, unsure what he meant. Chu Tianxing stepped forward and scolded. "How dare you slander madam?" Xia Xinghe stared at him coldly. "Didn't you also play a part in my divorce? Have you forgotten?" Chu Tianxing feigned Wei Chu, a sense of injustice/grievance, saying, "How can you be so vicious?" Xia Xinghe scoffed. "Vicious? How did you two collude to force my divorce? Have you forgotten that? Madam never acknowledged me as the Shi family's daughter-in-law from the very beginning. No matter how hard I tried, I couldn't win her favor, because the one you favored was Chu Tianxing. But, for Mubai's sake, you constantly conspired with Chu Tianxing to pressure me, to make me initiate the divorce." Chu Tianxing said arrogantly, "Mubai never loved you. It was clearly you who broke us apart." Xia Xinghe's face was icy. "Chu Tianxing, your lies are truly astounding." Shi Mubai's mother sneered. "So what? You're simply not worthy of my son. As long as I live, you'll never lay a finger on my grandson." Xia Xinghe retorted with faint sarcasm. "You finally admit it. If it weren't for wanting to see my son, I wouldn't even set foot in this place." Venom twisted Shi Mubai's mother's face. "Xiao Mo doesn't have a mother like you. From now on, his mother will be Tianxing." Chu Tianxing immediately barked, "Throw Xia Xinghe out." Several servants immediately swarmed forward and seized her. A furious roar suddenly echoed through the room. It was Shi Mubai, who had just walked in. Chu Tianxing's face paled at the sight of him. She hadn't expected his sudden return. Panic seized her. She was terrified that Shi Mubai had overheard everything. Shi Mubai ignored her, walking straight past her to Xia Xinghe, his gaze fixed intently on the woman before him. The woman, having failed to secure custody of her child, played the victim, enacting a calculated display of vulnerability. Since she couldn't take her child away, she would eliminate all threats to him. When a man unexpectedly learned the truth behind his divorce, that it was a scheme orchestrated by his mother and fiancé, he suppressed his fury and demanded Xia Xinghe reveal the entire story. It turned out that Shi Mubai's mother, in her determination to force the divorce, had deliberately created opportunities for Chu Tianxing to get close to Shi Mubai. She even went so far as to plant lipstick marks on his clothes. When discovered, she brazenly admitted her actions. Then one day, Xia Xinghe found the signed divorce agreement tucked away in his clothes. She had considered talking to Shi Mubai, but seeing his interactions with Chu Tianxing, she realized it was pointless. Their marriage had been based on their parents' friendship. Perhaps it had been a mistake from the start, destined to end badly. Shi Mubai stared intently at her. So you chose divorce? Why didn't you confirm it with me? You should know I wasn't. Xia Xinghe's eyes were dark as she gazed back. The fact is, you didn't love me. The fact is, you didn't care about our marriage. What would change if I spoke up about the injustices I suffered? What would you have done? At least I would have told you I wasn't unfaithful. Shi Mubai suddenly roared. Xia Xinghe offered a faint smile. It's too late. Everything is settled. The fact of their divorce was settled. The years of hardship she endured were settled. With that, she turned and left, ignoring the guilt in Shi Mubai's eyes. Because that guilt was exactly what she wanted. She wanted him to be unable to live with himself, to marry Chu Tianxing with a clear conscience. Shi Mubai stood rooted to the spot, reeling from the realization of the suffering she had endured in silence all these years. He had explicitly instructed his family to treat her well. He hadn't known. If he hadn't pressed her, he would have remained oblivious to the truth. Shi Mubai strode away, then stopped abruptly, turning back slightly. Tomorrow, he said without looking at her, I'll have my assistant book a table. The Shi and Chu families have some matters to discuss. The following evening, both the Shi and Chu families arrived at the hotel. Unaware of Shi Mubai's intentions, they assumed it was a regular dinner gathering. They failed to notice the grim expression on Shi Mubai's face. A short while later, Xia Xinghe unexpectedly arrived. Everyone was surprised by her appearance. Xia Xinghe and Shi Mubai exchanged a brief glance. Shi Mubai calmly explained that he had invited Xia Xinghe, offering no further explanation. Shi Mubai's mother glared at Xia Xinghe with undisguised disgust. She deliberately brought up the matter of the wedding dress in front of Xia Xinghe, then instructed Chu Tianxing to address her differently. Chu Tianxing blushed and glanced at Shi Mubai. Chu Tianxing noticed Shi Mubai was staring blankly at Xia Xinghe, who was casually eating. Seething with jealousy, Chu Tianxing let out a cold snort. Feigning nonchalance, she asked Shi Mubai why he had invited Xia Xinghe. Was it to help her choose a wedding dress? Shi Mubai ignored her pointed tone. He picked up his wine glass and stated seriously, I invited Xia Xinghe because the matter I'm addressing today concerns her. Shi Mubai's mother instantly guessed what he was about to do and hurriedly tried to stop him. Don't cause a scene at an occasion like this. Ignoring her protests, Shi Mubai declared with a grim expression, I've decided to officially break off my engagement with Chu Tianxing. The words landed like a bomb, shattering the tranquil atmosphere. Everyone's eyes widened in shock, staring at him in disbelief. Chu Tianxing was stunned, her face draining of color. Only Xia Xinghe remained composed and indifferent. She knew the game had finally begun. This woman, in order to force her son's divorce, had tricked her daughter-in-law into believing he was having an affair. And her motive? To make him marry another woman. When Shi Mubai learned the truth that it had all been a calculated scheme, he defied everyone and resolutely decided to break off the engagement. His mother was furious. She demanded to know if he was doing this for Xia Xinghe. Chu Tianxing also questioned him, asking if he was breaking up with her because of Xia Xinghe. If it weren't for her, she would have already married him. Xia Xinghe had torn them apart. Shi Mubai brushed her hand away. Xia Xinghe didn't tear us apart. I never intended to marry you. Even without her, I wouldn't have married you. Agreeing to marry you in the first place was the biggest mistake I ever made. Chu Tianxing's body trembled, her blood running cold. She stared at Shi Mubai in utter shock, unable to believe his words. Seeing her daughter humiliated, Chu Tianxing's mother furiously demanded that Shi Mubai explain himself. Shi Mubai's mother slammed her hand on the table, glaring at him. Do you even realize what you're doing? Shi Mubai's gaze rested on Xia Xinghe. If only he had realized sooner, he wouldn't have put her through so much pain. He answered impassively, I know exactly what I'm doing. The reason we divorced was because they deceived Xia Xinghe. They made her believe I was betraying her with Chu Tianxing. Shi Mubai's mother scoffed. So that's what this is about. Shi Mubai's mother didn't think it was a big deal. To force Xia Xinghe to leave, we had to resort to some tactics. Shi Mubai's voice grew colder. Even if you were my mother, You shouldn't have manipulated my marriage. And Chu Tianxing had no right to be involved. Shi Mubai's mother retorted angrily. Are you going to turn against your own mother for Xia Xinghe? Tears welled up in Chu Tianxing's eyes. I've loved you for so many years. How can you do this to me for Xia Xinghe? She thought her words would move him, even slightly. But his gaze only sharpened. Whether Xia Xinghe is important or not is not for you to decide. What you did to her is irrelevant. Chu Tianxing tried to defend herself. Shi Mubai continued. Her importance isn't determined by you. She was my lawfully wedded wife. She's the mother of my son. Xia Xinghe glanced at him in surprise. Chu Tianxing still refused to believe him. You don't love her. If you cared about her, you wouldn't have divorced her. Hearing this, Xia Xinghe looked at Shi Mubai. His voice deepened. I may not have loved Xia Xinghe before, but that doesn't mean I didn't value or respect her. I always treated her with a respect due to a wife. There was just no love. But now, as I understand her better, as I see the sides of her she kept hidden, my feelings for her seem to have changed. I will announce publicly that the divorce was a mutual decision between our families. And remember Xia Xinghe's status. Divorced or not, she is the mother of my son. Chu Tianxing lunged forward, unable to accept this. Stop saying these angry words, she pleaded. Seeing that Shi Mubai remained unmoved, she turned and pointed at Xia Xinghe. This is all Xia Xinghe's scheme. She's trying to destroy our relationship. Shi Mubai scoffed, his gaze, devoid of warmth, fixed on Chu Tianxing. So what if it was his scheme? Didn't he deserve to seek justice for the wrongs he'd suffered? Chu Tianxing looked at him in disbelief. So you really do care about him? Should I care? Shi Mubai retorted coldly. Shi Mubai's assertive stance shocked everyone present. The Chu family, however, couldn't tolerate his breaking off the engagement. Chu Tianxing's mother angrily questioned him. If you didn't care about my daughter, why did you agree to marry her? Shi Mubai scoffed. Have you forgotten how you begged for this engagement? Unlike the heated argument unfolding, Xia Xinghe sat calmly, observing the scene with an air of detachment. The reason for her divorce? She had been manipulated by his mother and his fiancé. To give his ex-wife a semblance of justice, he resolutely chose to break off the engagement. Chu Tianxing, unwilling to accept the broken engagement, decided to apologize to Xia Xinghe. But Xia Xinghe, seemingly deaf to her pleas, stood up and excused herself. Chu Tianxing, her face a mask of distress, cried out again, begging for forgiveness. She believed that such a desperate plea would surely earn her Xia Xinghe's pardon. Xia Xinghe, however, simply looked at her with an exasperated expression. She firmly stated that she would never forgive her, already plotting her revenge once this crisis passed. Chu Tianxing gritted her teeth upon hearing this response. Someone, presumably named Shiu, possibly a transcription error and intended to be Shimu/Shi Mubai's mother, thought Xia Xinghe was being petty, considering Chu Tianxing had humbled herself with an apology. Xia Xinghe chuckled softly. Yes, I'm petty, so it's best not to provoke me. I have a very good memory. With that, she turned and left without a backward glance. Outside the hotel, Shi Mubai saw Xia Xinghe waiting for him, a look of curiosity on his face. Xia Xinghe stated directly that she wanted to see Xiaoming, presumably their child. Shi Mubai informed her that their child was at the family estate and that he would take her there. Thinking of his grandparents at the estate and how difficult it would be to persuade them, he cautioned her against mentioning custody. His grandfather's temper, he warned, could result in her never seeing their child again. Xia Xinghe, however, confidently replied that she had a plan. Shi Mubai raised an eyebrow. Last night, you did that on purpose, didn't you? Xia Xinghe didn't bother denying it. Chu Tianxing doesn't deserve to be my son's stepmother. Stepmother. Shi Mubai wondered what she would do next. Would she try to drive away all the women in his life? A faint smile played on Xia Xinghe's lips. I have no interest in that. I just want my son. Shi Mubai looked at her intently, his gaze deep. You know, there's a much simpler way to get him. Remarry me. At the Shi family estate, Xia Xinghe knew that the old man only listened to his wife. This time, she would have to find a way to persuade the old woman. They were waiting in the living room when a woman entered. This was Yin Ruobing, the old woman's adopted granddaughter and closest confidant. She was a specialist in medical computing and currently served as the old woman's personal physician. After greeting them, she went to the back garden. As they were talking, Shi Mubai's grandfather entered and asked what they wanted. Shi Mubai explained that he had brought Xia Xinghe to see their child and to take Xiaoming home. The old man, however, abruptly questioned him about the broken engagement. The Chu and Shi families have a long-standing relationship. Did you consider the consequences of rejecting them so outright? Shi Mubai was unconcerned. I simply refused to marry a woman who schemed against me. The old man considered this. The Shi family indeed didn't need to cater to the Chus, but his expression darkened. So, you've taken a renewed interest in this woman? Do you intend to remarry? Hearing this, the two exchanged glances. Shi Mubai didn't deny it. I've considered it. Xia Xinghe's voice, clear and cool, cut in. I haven't. I have no intention of remarrying. Her denial was absolute. She then addressed the old man earnestly. Grandfather, I'm not here to discuss remarriage. As the child's mother, I'm here to request custody for a few years. I hope you'll grant my request. As soon as she finished speaking, the old man roared in fury. What did you say? You dare ask the Shi family for the child? We only have one great-grandson. How dare you even ask? Who gave you the audacity? I did. Shi Mubai spoke without hesitation. The old man glared at him. Xia Xinghe was slightly surprised. Shi Mubai explained the circumstances of their divorce, how Xia Xinghe had been manipulated into making that choice. She wasn't at fault. Elder Shi, however, believed that being manipulated was Shi Mubai's own fault and he had no one to blame. A fierce argument erupted between them, culminating in Elder Shi's furious roar. In the Shi family, I set the rules. There's no way he's getting custody of the child. To wrest custody of her child from the powerful Shi family, Xia Xinghe had first played the fool, exposing her mother-in-law's schemes and machinations. Then, she cleverly orchestrated events to provoke Chu Tianxing, leading to Shi Mubai's impulsive decision to break off the engagement. Back at the Shi family estate, Shi Mubai found himself in a heated argument with Elder Shi over Xia Xinghe. Unwilling to escalate the conflict further, Shi Mubai knew he had to defuse the situation. He suggested they go see the child first and discuss the matter later. Pulling Xia Xinghe aside, he grumbled, "Didn't I tell you not to mention this in front of grandfather?" Xia Xinghe pulled her hand away. "I didn't agree to that. You know grandfather's temper. Doing this will only make him angrier, and he might even prevent you from seeing your son." Xia Xinghe challenged him. "What's the difference between not being able to take him and not being able to see him?" Her words struck a chord within Shi Mubai. "Do you want to take him that badly?" Hearing Xia Xinghe's firm response, Shi Mubai gave her a searching look. "You said you'd do anything to get your son back, didn't you?" Xia Xinghe raised an eyebrow. "What are you getting at?" "Marry me," Shi Mubai suddenly declared. "Marry me again. Then your son will belong to you. No one can take him away." Surprised by his abrupt proposal, Xia Xinghe lowered her gaze. "I'll agree to anything but that." Shi Mubai frowned. "Why not? Is it just because you don't love me?" Xia Xinghe knew the crux of the matter wasn't marriage. Her goal wasn't just to regain custody of her son, but to escape this life with him. Even if she married Shi Mubai, she knew she wouldn't live much longer. He would eventually remarry, and her son would again be in a precarious situation. She needed to take her son and leave before that happened, giving him a chance to grow strong and independent. Thinking this through, Xia Xinghe asked, "I recall a Shi family tradition. Anyone who can cure the old madam will have any request granted, correct?" Shi Mubai's brow furrowed slightly. "Is that so?" 100% biosimulation suppression technology. Current technology makes that nearly impossible. Are you saying you can do it? Xia Xinghe smiled confidently. "I can't say for certain, but I'm confident I can." As she spoke, her eyes shone with a brilliant light, a radiance that only appeared when she was brimming with self-assurance. It was this very quality that Shi Mubai found most captivating. Suppressing the emotions swirling within him, he said, "If you're confident, then do it. If you succeed, I'll grant your request. I'll handle the Shi family." Xia Xinghe's eyes narrowed in a smile. "Good, it's a deal." Meanwhile, in the courtyard, the old madam was leisurely painting, while Yin Ruobing sat beside her, relaying Xia Xinghe's words. The old madam raised her eyes slightly. "Is she that certain?" Hearing that Xia Xinghe promised to complete it within a month, she glanced at her empty sleeve, a shadow of pain flickering in her eyes. It was a wound that would forever remain in her heart. The old madam's voice turned cold. "Let her try. If she succeeds, I'll grant her any condition within my power." Yin Ruobing paused, a sudden unease, a feeling of being threatened rising within her. In the car, Shi Mubai said, "To ensure you can work efficiently, I'll give you access to the Night Technologies Lab. Don't hesitate to ask me for anything you need." Xia Xinghe didn't refuse. She truly needed a well-equipped laboratory. After dropping Xia Xinghe off, Shi Mubai realized with surprise that her home was quite close to his. Xia Xinghe glanced at him, and Shimu Bai gently touched her head. "Nothing," he said, secretly pleased to be living near her. Xia Xinghe, however, wasn't swayed by his gesture. She swatted his hand away, wondering why he was acting so strangely today. Shimu Bai stared at his hand, then, blushing furiously, brought it to his nose and inhaled. Just touching her head had brought him such joy. He wondered what it would feel like to hold her in his arms.